Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's a great question. We preach every day there's going to be adversity. And what happened to me is no different than a player getting benched or having to go from first team to second team. It's no difference. And I believe in this place. I believe in Nebraska. I believe in everything. When I came here, I still believe it. We got great things ahead of us. I think we can do it, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to finish what we started. And I thought it'd be a great example for our guys just to see when you go through some hard stuff, like practice what you preach and just keep coming to work and keep giving it your best every single day.
Just focusing on the team. And I think he spoke about that a little bit. But yeah, I've been with Coach for a long time, so I kind of know what the standards are, the expectations are, and what he expects from us as a staff and the players. And I think, Coach has been persistent in all of those things over the years. And so just making sure the team is right and obviously holding all of us accountable as coaches and players.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. Coming up on the show today, we've got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. We got, which one? Do we got Kendeigh or Suits today?
That's Kendeigh.
We got Andy Kendeigh from KETV, and we've got Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. What's up, DB?
That might be the most childish thing I've the most closet inside joke I've ever heard. Well played.
What's going on, DB?
Idiot. That's fine. One thing I do like, though, is you do get rewarded for listening every day.
Yes.
You do get rewarded.
Yeah,
for
there's
that.
inside jokes.
I just don't want to be one of those nesting areas where people get their information and you could come in 6 months later and feel like you haven't missed anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that.
You're gonna miss some things if you're off for 6 months.
Speaking of which, did you see my GIF this morning?
I did not.
Since you're trying to get the lineup out in the first segment, and I'm trying to
your Isaac GIF
continue to promote the show, I am back to tweeting the lineup again. Do you like that?
You want to talk about an inside joke?
So there's multiple people like this now that I've seen that when they start talking, it's okay to, first of all, take your time.
Yeah, or you could think about what you're going to say before you come
right,
on,
right.
That's an option.
Yeah, it just
it's on the table.
He's got to figure out where I'm gonna land this thing.
If you haven't seen, make sure you go to DB's Twitter.
No, it's not that funny.
Well, I think it's funny. It's the Michael Scott gift. Sometimes I'll start a sentence, I don't even know where it's going.
Sometimes it even sounds made up.
Well,
which by the way,
sometimes it is.
So, yesterday, not a great sports day.
No, a little slow.
But I got to ask you something. OT.
Yeah.
Is that what the kids say? Off topic?
I have no idea.
It's not exactly off topic, but it is a little weird.
You said OT, and I was just going to roll with it, knowing no idea what you meant.
Yeah, I don't. And we're not quite to NFL camp yet, so it's not the
OTAs.
Not yet. Although people keep winding up in Pittsburgh, I'm gonna have some problems. I got a couple people in the same city, and it's weirding me out.
You'll be all right.
What are the odds you have Aaron Rodgers and Shedeur Sanders within 30 hours of each other being in Pittsburgh?
Well, you got
no big deal.
You got to check it out. See what's going on.
Hey, would that not be the most DB thing ever?
To get Shedeur?
To have to cheer for Shedeur Sanders.
What would be the funniest thing ever?
You lost your prophylactic.
I don't know.
It's in your lap.
I don't
know. The sleeve.
Oh, the little the mic condom here. Okay.
Yeah. Tourette's?
That's fine.
I don't know. Just goes on. I don't know, covers it up.
You're
I don't
a child.
know. Anyway, the funniest thing would be is if they signed Aaron Rodgers and then drafted Shedeur Sanders.
No, I don't see.
That would be the funniest.
We don't promote chaos. We try to thrive in it. We don't seek it out.
Well,
But if it gets chaotic, sometimes you got to be the rudder or the big fat propeller.
Can you be the wheel
that steadies that thing?
The captain's wheel?
I don't know. Like, you don't drive? Do you drive a boat? What do you do with a boat?
So not a
You steer it?
You steer a boat.
So is it opposite?
I don't know. So my boat's a sailboat, so there's not like a.
Of course it is.
You steer with the sails, not with like a steering wheel.
Of course it is. But they have the big thing with the knobs on it. They got Gilligan in trouble, right?
Yeah, you got like
or
that.
the skipper,
But
whatever.
it's mostly. I'll be honest. My wife does most of the sailing. I'm there for the vibes.
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of do what she tells me to.
that's interesting.
She's been sailing since she was a kid.
I mean, I do believe that a healthy relationship is like a 50-50 driving experience.
Yeah.
Dudes do most of the driving, and
I mean,
the passenger drives them crazy being the passenger.
In the car,
it's pretty good.
I
right?
do 100% of the driving.
Yeah.
I do not want.
Well, you're Mr. Careful, right? You're Fire Marshal Ravi.
Yeah, I'm not trying to ride in the car with her.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Just cannot drive.
She's aggressive. Oh no, she can drive, but she's aggressive.
I like that.
Like I would say she's a good driver. She is more aggressive than
She's not listening. You don't have to fib.
No, I do think she's a good driver. Like she's not reckless and she pays attention, but she's way more aggressive than I would be.
I believe you got to get to where you're going.
Which is fine, but I just don't want to ride with her.
But I have some questions about, because you're an avid NBA fan.
I do love the NBA.
As do I. And I think you try to make the case, like a lot of these guys, that skill and talent-wise, the game has never been in a better place.
I would say so, yes.
Okay. So I've met that guy. I'm sad to have him fired. He used to run an organization in Minnesota.
Mike Malone?
Booth.
Oh,
their general
Booth.
manager.
Yeah.
So apparently neither one of those guys got along and they fired them both?
Apparently.
Yeah, you guys are both dysfunctional. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, hey, you both might be the problem.
What a weird deal. We'll get to that in a sec, just for a second.
Yeah.
Are you okay, or how do you rationalize like blowing 24-point leads, or like 18-0 runs, or I get it. Puka got ejected last night in the fourth quarter, so OKC ended up putting the gas pedal to the Lakers.
Yeah.
But how do you we see this all the time. Like, how did the T-Pups blow a 24-point lead in one quarter?
That's hard to do.
To the Bucks.
So I do think there's.
Do you fear the deer? I don't fear the deer.
No, not at all.
I don't either.
I think the deer is more Bambi than, I don't know what a scary deer is, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. Are there scary deer?
I don't think so.
I guess the ones that randomly hit your car.
That is scary. They're popping out in front of you.
Yeah.
I think that's more accidental than nefarious on their part, though, because it usually goes as poorly for the deer as it does for anyone else.
Yeah, I don't know if the computer being bugged and stuff, or my phone, but you know how occasionally you'll say nefarious.
Yeah.
So on my Roku, whatever you get with the display that comes on your television.
Okay. Yeah.
Nefarious is one of the movies on the bottom that for my viewing pleasure.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie, and it's weird.
It's like a horror movie. It sounds like, I'm guessing.
He said deer with wasting disease is pretty scary. I kind of like Husker Dominator's weird.
Yeah.
He's kind of low key funny.
He's got some zingers in there.
You know,
Yeah.
He just kind of lays in the cut. Yeah, but so you think that's like a thing? You're just gonna blow 24-point leads, or how about this? Did you see the way the Celtics won?
No, not last night.
Okay, I was
watching
it was circusy.
Warriors.
Oh, so were you mad that it was delayed because it went to OT?
I mean, I was a little annoyed, but it was all right.
What were we watching originally?
I could stop watching pretty early because the Suns weren't playing last night.
Let Micah have the remote. What was before Boston and the Knicks that he was watching? Maybe nothing, because it would have only been 6 o'clock. But anyway, I just don't want to see that.
Yeah. So the issues with the league.
You think it's just that highly skilled?
So there are issues with the league. I'm not an apologist to say that there's nothing wrong with the league. I don't think the skill or talent level is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. There might be some.
Do you think there's anything wrong with me?
Well, that's a different show.
Do you want to be my apologist?
Sure. I'll go to bat for you.
It's too late to apologize. Yeah.
I'm not a huge One Republic guy. They're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm scary that just rolls off the old. No, not as scary as me singing it though.
Big.
Probably.
I mean,
love will find a way.
There's the Timbaland version. There's the non-Timbaland version. The
I'm a
Timbaland version
guy. I don't know how she has a job. They need to get her off there. No disrespect to Monica McNutt.
But I do think there are issues in the league, whether it's like an effort thing. I do think the guys in the league don't play as hard. There are guys in the league that don't play as hard as they used to. I do think there's like the whole load management thing. I've been sort of defending because I think it is harder night in, night out in the NBA because of the skill level, but I think it's gone to a point that doesn't make any sense, and it's gotten to a point where there's really no scientific backing for it. They just assume if you play less, you'll be healthier, which I get the conclusion, but there's a lot of data points that don't support that. I think there's an style of play issue. I think it's gotten a little uniform the same way. I mean, it's the same issue we had with baseball until they started making some tweaks with the shift and the size of the bases and stuff like that with the 3 true outcomes, right? You're almost to a 3 true outcome point with NBA where it's at the rim, behind the arc, or free throw line, right? So there's a stylistic issue there. So I understand people that are like, I don't like watching this particular version of basketball. I get it. I get why college is more appealing to some people. Even though the skill level and talent level is dramatically different. I mean, we saw a lot of really good players play in the NCAA tournament that will not sniff the NBA because they're just not good enough.
Right.
And so I think there can be issues with the league and have it not.
How many guys did we watch Monday night that?
I mean, the best 2 players.
I mean, they'll be overseas.
Oh, yeah. There's the best 2 players in that game in terms of draft stock are going to maybe sneak into the back end of the first round in Clayton and Condon. Yeah. They're like 28-30 is their high projections.
I don't see Clayton like that, but
I don't either.
He's crafty. I just don't know if he's twitchy enough.
Yeah, so I think there's a missing kind of twitchy is a good word for it, kind of like quickness, explosiveness element from him.
I find it interesting that you like Clayton Jr.'s game at the next level more than Bryce Williams.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, but you kind of low key just.
Well, he's going to go in the first round.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, that's not a me thing. He's either going to go in the first round or early second. Like he'll get drafted. I don't think Bryce will. That's not my personal feeling. That's because I paid too much attention to mock drafts at this point in the year. Long term, I see a cleaner path for Bryce to be on a roster. Guys like Walter Clayton, unless that defensive intensity that we saw in the championship game can translate, and I don't know if it will because he's only 6'2", like that's going to be a really tough way for him to make a living because he's not going to get the leeway.
He's kind of a soft body, but he can work on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Jamal Murray there, like really.
Yeah,
but he's not.
I don't mind the comp.
He's not going to get the leeway for shot selection in college or in the NBA that he does in college. So like a lot of guys like that really struggle with that transition when they don't have the volume of shots to get themselves into a rhythm. So like I see a very real world where Walter Clayton is a very nice guard in like Eurobasket, and that's about
so
it.
You're okay though with,
but projection wise, because of where he's been and what he's done, he's got to get drafted ahead of Bryce if Bryce gets drafted at all.
No, like would you defend the blowouts and the comebacks and the weird stretches of just not being able to put the biscuit in the basket to a non-NBA? I hate to use the word aficionado because our buddy hates aficionado.
Sure. I don't know that I would defend it.
He might be on dad duty. I doubt he's listening.
I think a lot of it is because it has become so 3-point reliant. There's a really high variability there. So you can go on runs. Like an 18-point lead is only 6 shots now, right? Like that's only 6 possessions.
Right.
And when you're shooting from further distance, it's lower percentages. Even if the math works out, you're more likely to go through either hot or cold stretches of that type of shot, right? So to me, it's just about shot selection and higher variance more than it is anything else.
I had to get that off my chest.
No, I get it because it's weird to watch a Minnesota Timberwolves team that's supposed to be pretty good just wet the bed against a Bucks team that doesn't have Dame, and you're just sitting there going, "Hey, this Bucks team is not very good. What are you doing here?" Well, I get it.
And by the way, Shane, congratulations for clinching home ice last night. It's well done. Nice comeback too. Boy, we saw some. I know you're not a hockey guy. We saw some hockey teams.
Shootouts are fun.
We saw some hockey teams wet the bed last night.
Yeah.
I think Vancouver scored 3 goals in the final minute.
What?
Yeah, man.
That sounds like some Mighty Ducks stuff.
And the Avs were down 2-0, won 3-2 in a shootout.
Dang.
With clinched home ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Send, Ottawa's in now, Shane. I'm kind of bummed.
How are my Winnipeg Jets doing?
Oh, they're solid.
Okay.
They're solid. They're gonna have a tough draw, but you're all right.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah.
We're out here.
We out here, right? All right. I mean, they're the one in the Central and the West.
I like it. So we're gonna be going against the Blackhawks early, or no? They're eliminated.
Yeah, Blackhawks are trash.
Sorry, I was looking at the thing wrong.
They let the Penguins put a 5 spot on them the other day.
Are we looking at like the Canucks or Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind the hockey club.
Yeah. What didn't they? They said they were going to be the Yetis, and they changed their mind.
Well, they have a couple of they have 3 things. They're down to 3.
Okay.
They're down to 3 in the
I think they should just stick with the hockey club.
Yeah.
Utah Hockey Club.
So was Washington was the football team, right?
Yeah, for a couple years.
But then the Commanders?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of stuck it out, you know?
Yeah, I if you have some hockey club like sweaters,
Yeah.
I might have to keep those.
Yeah, they're kind of, I mean, it's kind of cool.
He said, yeah.
Like you're going to the club or something.
No, I don't go to clubs.
But I mean, if you're going to the game,
Sure.
You can be like, meet me at the club.
yeah, meet me at the club.
I might sit club level.
Sit club level out there. Yeah, that might work.
I wouldn't.
You're not
wear
an on the ice guy. You don't want to
I
pound the
wouldn't
glass.
wear. No, I've done that before. It's just okay.
Yeah.
It's too close.
I've done that with like Lancers. I
Yeah.
haven't done it at a big time hockey game before.
Except for we weren't in Omaha, I'd shout out the Stars, but
Get out of here with that nonsense.
I like Lincoln. It's okay. I don't like Lincoln as much as I like Omaha.
That's right.
I like this. Well, no,
You like
even
Lincoln.
even the schools are close.
You like Lincoln more than I do, but
Yeah,
Lincoln's fine.
Omaha, the Mavs, and the Huskers.
Yeah.
That's all.
Big Creighton guy, as we know.
Creighton definitely is a tear down.
Yeah.
But I like Creighton. I like Creighton a lot. I like Creighton more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah.
And you know why I like Creighton? Because of the people.
That's Coach Mack's a big part.
It's the well, it started with Rob Anderson.
Okay.
Probably. Rob was good to me unnecessarily.
Rob's a good dude.
You know, and then obviously
Glenn too. I like Glenn
the
a
first
lot.
coach probably that I had an affinity for was Ed, Coach Service.
yeah.
I don't want to go with first name. Because who kept saying Frank yesterday and it was driving me, Bryce Sanford.
Oh.
He kept saying Fred. And I was like,
I do find it weird when a player calls
he
their coach
kept
first name
saying
only.
it too, but I'm a big Price guy, so I just let it ride because I love his personality.
Like if
Suppose we didn't travel together. But he played on the same team in the same organization for ETG, so I saw his parents quite a bit. And Price kept saying Fred, and I was like, okay.
I would find, although I think it does depend on situation, because I don't find it that weird when people call Holgerson Dana, but I do find it weird when people call Rule Matt.
What do I call Coach Holgerson? I think I just said Coach. And if anybody could call Matt would be me.
Yeah.
And I still don't.
Really? You call him Coach?
Yep.
That's kind of my default for anybody that's in the profession. I just call him Coach.
But this is another thing. I'm trying to get Zoe to do this, and maybe it's just because she says mom, like mama or dad, like incessantly, even though we're the only ones in the room. If we're in the same room, I don't know if I call you by name at all. I probably just talk to you.
Yeah. The number of times that Natasha and I call each other by our names is like remarkably low.
And it's in really should be never
To the point that it's
unless it's some cuddly pet name. Because there's only just you two in the house.
Yeah. Although like we talk to the dogs a lot, so sometimes there's some confusion.
Are you a voice flexion change guy when you talk to the pets?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll just talk to them like, hey, bud, we need to do a little better than this.
You definitely need a child. Says the guy that was talking to a bird in the garage. That's because I was trying to avert a bird aside.
It ain't got to be like this.
You won't forget that. She's like my voice. I seriously was.
You're like pleading with him.
I was.
You were like, bud.
I'm like, come on, man. But that's my personality.
I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this.
You don't want to do this.
Yes.
Don't make me do this.
Nah. Next thing you know, he was dead. My man Lupe called me a bird killer.
It just reminds me of that like scene from The Matrix where the like blonde haired girl, the like she kind of like albino looking, she goes, not like this. Not like this.
Yeah. You gotta meet. Yeah, did you meet Lupe?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Lupe's a stud. Shane would like Lupe because Lupe's a big Raiders fan.
Oh, I thought they meant like vape together or something.
Nah, Lupe's hanging like an 80-pound bladder bag in his garage. I
Really?
don't think Lupe's a smoker.
You never know, man.
No, he can bash some tequila, but I don't think he's a smoker.
Life's about balance.
He sent me something the other day. He said, "In the Raiders we trust. My man is ride or die."
Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding.
Exactly. And he's sweet too. He's got this little goatee, and it comes to a point.
Big Pete
And
Carroll guy.
he has the little thing right here,
Soul patch.
and it's gray. He wears these like sweet sunglasses. Like Lupe looks like. Leave him alone. Nice man though. I want his truck. I didn't have the heart to ask him for it.
You just be like, hey, can I have your truck?
I was picking his brain yesterday, because he'll just pull up.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because he's actually normal. But I'm like, hey, he didn't get out. He just was talking, and I think I was bringing in I don't know why I was bringing in groceries. And by the way, do you ever see any of your neighbors bring in groceries?
I don't think. Yeah.
I've asked you this, right?
So the one across the street, I don't think parks.
I don't know when my neighbors grocery shop.
So do they park in the garage?
Some.
So if they park in
clearly not enough.
Those neighbors.
No.
If they park
they're cool.
So if they park in the garage, that's what I do. Is I pull in the garage, close the door.
Yeah, but you can't pull do you have enough room to put your trunk up?
Yeah.
I don't.
So that's why, like, if they're in the garage, especially if they got a car, not an SUV, so the trunk's not an issue. That's why you never see it.
But anyway, he got a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the truck?
Yeah.
What's he rocking?
You think I'd know? It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's red, and it's got like the lights.
Oh,
and deep down, I want a truck.
Yeah.
Like a flatbed, like a pickup. I just don't feel. I still wear enough. I dress up enough. I don't know if that works.
Feels a little awkward getting out of the truck in like a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's part of the reason I didn't want a truck.
I don't know if
I feel like I don't give up.
I don't know if I'm manly enough for a pickup. But it kind of feels like that. But I want one.
I feel like I don't give off truck vibes.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. And the Mercedes, what you're doing, Wagoneer, that type stuff, that's you. You do it just fine.
I haven't actually had a Wagoneer.
Yeah.
I just like them.
I know.
Although not anymore because Russ Wilson ruined it for me.
Hope that guy wins that job. He's gonna drive Dable crazy.
I kind of want Jameis to win it, just for the comedy.
I just want to be in the locker room.
Like they need to. They're in season, whatever in season HBO thing they do.
How sweet are those uniforms?
Needs to be Giants. Which ones? The Kansas ones?
Yeah. Did you see their baseball unis last night?
Yeah.
TK was at the game. He was sending me pictures.
Oh, there you go.
It's kind of cute.
Good win for Nebraska.
Yeah, he said, "I hope the wind's blowing out next week for Nebraska. This weekend they're gonna be in trouble."
Yeah.
I like TK. He's a weird dude, but he grew on me. TK's like aged cheese. It just gets better.
Yeah.
You would say wine.
Well,
I'm not as big into wine anymore.
I like cheese. I'm a big Gouda guy.
I bought some Gouda yesterday.
Parmesan.
There was a particular grocery store in town that was buy one, get one.
I'm like a medium cheddar. Sharp's okay.
The sharp is fire.
Mild's kind of meh, but
yeah, I don't. So
mild doesn't do much for me.
Buying mild cheddar would be like
it's like skim milk.
Colby Jack.
I like pepper jack.
Pepper jack's fine.
Like
Vastly, Colby Jack is like white bread.
Yeah, it's like
just whatever.
It's it's like white people taco night. Like that's Colby Jack right on top there.
I don't know anything about that. You're not pulling me into that.
Were you not?
I'm sure they're. Yes, I'm aware of what you're talking about
On TikTok.
Yes. And,
white people taco night.
And it was all over my algorithm for probably a month.
Get the ground beef
and
from
I
the
just
grocery
was
store.
Like, but a lot of the people that I follow on TikTok that cook, I would say it's probably 65-35.
Well, there's a lot of whites on there.
Anglo to Negro. Montenegro.
Like Serbia and Montenegro?
Sure. I'd farm, be rich. Darko Milicic.
Darko, baby.
No. Yeah, that's all. I bought some Gouda yesterday.
You're out on Colby Jack, though?
I'll eat it.
It's fine.
So, like, if there's a 4-pack, I buy a 4-pack sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did it this time. I normally just get the New York Reserve sharp cheddar from Costco.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the multi 4-pack, and it had I'll tell you a bad cheese.
What?
Flipping Swiss.
I'm not a Swiss guy. There's certain sandwiches where it makes sense, but
It is. So it's Swiss, Havarti, Colby Jack, cheddar.
what's
And I'm weird, so I try to take one from each corner so you don't get too
yeah.
distorted. And I'm totally gutting the Swiss.
I'm anytime I would go Swiss, I'd probably go like provolone instead.
I don't mind.
Provolone's not bad.
I don't buy a ton of provolone.
Yeah. I'll have it on like a sandwich though.
I mean, I would eat it. I won't say that because there's so many kinds of cheese.
Yeah, you get into some weird cheeses.
But I'll eat.
Like
whatever.
my wife will make these charcuterie boards or whatever for Christmas when we have people over.
Yeah.
And she'll throw some cheeses on there I've never heard of before. They're pretty good though.
There's so many.
There's like a Boursin that's really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A
A lot of times people use it more as a spread.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
softer.
Yeah.
I do like a good brie, like on a charcuterie board.
Okay, listen. So
Like a baked
there's
brie?
no need to. Do you just ooze bougie, or you can't help? Like you can't
It's
help it.
good.
I say pate, you say mousse. I talk about cheese, you go brie. I talk about
Listen,
I talk about steering a ship, you go sailboats. None of that's made up. Is it just coinky dink?
those are my points of reference.
One,
Those are my points of reference.
one's a coincidence, two or more is a fluke.
Three's a
Fluke,
trend.
yeah, three, you're trending. Fluke, coincidence, you're trending. You
Uh,
can't help yourself.
So I'm just like a nice like baked brie with like you're talking about a spread. That's really
Uh-uh.
nice on some crackers.
I could take or leave warm cheese. It's fine.
Oh, I like warm cheese. Like as a spread, it's pretty good.
It's fine.
I'll mess around with some warm cheese. You don't like nachos?
I think they're
Overrated.
yes. I'll duck. Highly overrated.
I like a good nacho.
Too much. It's too messy for what it is.
Too much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like good nachos.
I'm out.
Big nachos guy. I
That's
think you're
fine.
probably in the minority on the not loving nachos.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I will probably never order it.
What's the
Maybe seafood nachos.
Ooh, seafood nachos are good.
Yeah. Like I would get
They're rare, but they're good.
I would order seafood nachos,
like some-
but I wouldn't.
Like shrimp and
I wouldn't.
scallops and
That's a good
crab
never. That's a
meat.
good never. I would
You just never
never
order?
I would never order nachos.
like by your own choice. I do think you're in the minority there.
It's fine.
Like a lot of people like nachos.
It's fine.
What's like your nachos of the sports world? You're like, it's fine.
The food or
No, like you're like, what's the equivalent to nachos for how you feel about something? You're just kind of like,
So you know what it used to be,
what?
but now they all do it. I was like that about the DH rule.
You weren't that excited. Like you didn't feel strongly either way.
Yeah, people, and as a strong NL guy,
Yeah,
you
a lot of
think
them
you
had.
think I would ride or die with that, but I was pretty meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty advancing the ball in college.
Oh yeah, you don't care.
No,
I really don't either.
not a ton.
People do get real mad about advancing the ball.
If we weren't so dumb and played halves, it wouldn't be an issue.
Quarters, you mean?
No, if
Oh,
college basketball
we're-
didn't
oh,
play
yeah,
halves,
yeah.
we wouldn't have to worry about it.
True.
But I mean, we're still in the Stone Ages.
We're out here, right?
It's where the magic happens. It's where the magic happens. By the way, and I know we got to go to break. And
We don't have to do it.
I was thinking about. I need a breath.
okay.
I've been sitting for 27 minutes.
You're winning.
I mean, we did 40 yesterday.
I know.
Freaking
It's like the old days. It's like.
And Shane was like pounding the watch.
Did you happen to catch Coach Pettit on social media yesterday?
Oh no, I didn't.
We'll take a break.
We'll take
I
a
want
look.
I want you to peruse.
Yeah.
And he's very much a philosopher. It was so good. One Bruce Clymer, who isn't even all in on the sports world,
Yeah.
asked me my thoughts on Coach Terry Pettit and his thoughts on KBB.
Huh.
Yeah, very interesting.
We'll have to get into that next. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to three.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Some of those people you point to in terms of mentors, or maybe some that you've had conversations with and wanting to step away from this role?
Gosh, it's hard to name names because you know you're going to forget people. My entire staff has been awesome. I've talked to them. My husband. Gosh, there's been different people. I mean, through my time here, Jim Flannery and I office next to each other, and we definitely have hashed a lot of things out over the years. Bruce Rasmussen, I still talk to a lot these days. Terry Pettit, so many. Gosh, there's so many people and you tap into different people for different needs. But I'm so grateful for all the people that are willing to take my call and give advice and lend support. Brandon Rosenthal at Lipscomb was someone that I really leaned into, and people probably don't even know that we're good friends, and just talking through am I being crazy, and him processing all this with me.
Hey everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Him to just understand that's important to improve every day. I mean, we're all here for improvement, right? Me as a coach, him as a player. So taking the things that you do well and how can those things be improved, and on obviously what are the things that he needs to work on. So my message to him and every day is like, last year was last year. This is a new year. We're in spring ball, and every day we're getting opportunities to get better. So that's kind of our approach with really everyone, not just Vincent, but I really don't care what had happened. I care about today. I care about right now. I care about this meeting. I care about where we're at. I care about this rep, and that's the mentality that you got to have.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you if you're on your way to work this morning, or if, maybe you had a little too much last night and decided to leave your car somewhere and are coming back to get it, make sure.
Like in your parking spot?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, my name's not on it or anything.
Hey.
That is where I park every day, but that's okay.
She may have had the hookup. Maybe she wasn't partake. Oh, you assume that's a dude.
I think that's, I'm guessing by the car, but I could be wrong.
Because it's a 300?
Just that particular style of car, I haven't seen a lot of women in.
I'm telling you, that's a Pat Benatar move.
I don't know.
Puts a cigarette out on her shoe, and she gets out of the 300 with her hair feathers.
Kind of
the seats. The seat is back a long ways.
So tall guy, you think?
She may have long legs.
Well,
we don't know. But if they made a good decision. Obviously, maybe they had a couple too many drinks. They're like, hey, I'm going to get home safely. That's a good way to go.
At least it's not like a couple months ago where they left the throw up right by the car.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Yeah, I knew why they left that.
Not a big fan of that one. Good on our lovely staff here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for washing that off.
Hey, listen, they are on it.
They are.
Have you watched him pull up in his? I like his red truck. Although I wanted to wash it for him the other day. It was dirty. They get after it.
They do.
It's like, and I like the smell of the cleaning supplies. So when they do the floor at like 9 or 9:30 or whatever,
it's like your favorite.
It's the only reason I go out there. I need to use the bathroom.
Drive safe. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. All right, you had a question.
Yeah, I just
about old TP.
So
I don't think anybody calls him that, but that's okay.
No, I definitely somebody I would never call Terry. I call him Coach, and I don't know if it's enough just to.
So do you know him? Because you guys overlap.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very yeah. Oh yeah, he's got strong opinions on a lot.
He does. Yeah, I've seen him.
We'll trade. Yeah, we'll trade messages quite frequently, and he was there. He's very, very tough.
Yeah.
There was a strict no volleyball football policy, and unless you're Brooke Behringer, you adhered to it. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Oh, and Trev, and Tom Best, but Tom Best played basketball, so I guess that counts. And all three of those guys have something in common. Google Tom Best, Trev Alberts, and Brooke Behringer.
One of these things is not like the other.
All guys that could have played Ken in Barbie. All three of them. Good-looking sons of guns. No, but he obviously has, I assume, a pretty good relationship with Kirsten. I don't know. So for him so basically he was very.
Yeah, so to kind of give a overview of what he said, he puts stuff out on Facebook every once in a while. And
which, by the way, is the most disagreeable of the social media platforms, in my opinion.
It sure is. It's the most hostile.
It's tough.
It is. It's the most hostile for sure. But he put out a post kind of regarding the press conference of Coach Booth, Coach Rosen, and Marcus Blossom, and the transition of Coach Booth to Coach Rosen. And basically his point was that it felt like someone who had really never met Coach Booth reading off of like a Wikipedia page.
And I think he took it personal based on how he feels about Kirsten.
Coach Booth, yeah. And he
not Kirsten.
Kirsten. Not Kristen. Kirsten.
Thank you.
And
what's Coach Sampson's name?
Kelvin.
Thank you.
Not Calvin, like ism.
Boy, killer. Why'd you go to Calvinism? I guess a lot of people died in the name of religion. I won't just single him out.
I just went because, religious background and whatnot. Just when I hear Calvinism is one of the first things that comes to my mind.
Oof.
Predetermination, big fans. Anyway,
I can't remember that little silly 6-part series I watched on Brigham Young too, which was, I'll never get those 6.
Better or worse than Russian Rambo?
Better.
Okay.
Better.
But
Russian Rambo is pretty bad.
He was talking about how
it's called Flint. They're not Russian Rambo.
Same thing. There was this sort of distance, it felt like, between Blossom and Booth, and how it seemed like he was talking about somebody he really didn't have much of a relationship with. And I don't know how much he knows about their relationship. I do think he knows Coach Booth. I don't know if he says he doesn't know Coach Blossom. I'll take him at his word for that. Or not Coach Blossom, AD Blossom. I'll take him at his word for that.
You could say Marcus. Marcus, darling. Marcus.
Like from Marcus and Mike?
No, I was gonna say the movie, but inevitably you'll say it's a different black movie, but it was Boomerang. Not just keep it moving.
Like Bad Boys?
No.
Like Marcus and Mike Lowry? Oh,
Like Marcus Aurelius?
Aurelia.
Him too?
Marcus Aurelius?
Yes.
You're both wrong.
I was messing with him. It's Marcus Aurelius.
Loyal to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the
husband to a murdered wife,
father to a murdered child,
father to a murdered son, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Hear the word.
So basically, the gist was,
and actually, that was Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Yeah,
he was
commander of the armies of the north.
True and loyal servant to the king, Marcus,
emperor, not
emperor. Marcus Aurelius.
They had an aversion to the term king back in ancient Rome.
I get it.
Kind of like we have here in America. The
Spaniard.
The general tone was, it felt like this person had never met the coach that he was talking about. That was the general tone of the post. And I did find it interesting because he kind of goes on to talk about the role of a leader and that it's a relational position.
He's very much a philosopher by nature.
Yeah, he goes on to talk about how, hey, being a leader is not a position. It's I don't think he used the word calling, but it's kind of what he was talking about, and how it's a relational position where you are impacting the lives of everybody around you. So you can be a leader with a title or not, and it doesn't really matter. And I thought it was really interesting because I don't have that much interactions with Marcus Blossom. I haven't. I've met him and talked to him in passing through Creighton games and stuff like that, but haven't had more than probably a 5-minute conversation with him at any point. So I don't really have a good feel if that's just sort of, that setting doesn't fit his personality well. I don't have a good feel for, obviously there's, a lot of people have talked about tensions in the athletic department between him and some coaches. So I don't know how much of it was that. I did think it was really interesting that it did seem to be very distant, the way he talked about both Coach Booth and Coach Rosen. And I'm not.
You're talking about from his perspective?
Just from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I always wonder. So sometimes I'll want to do that.
Yeah.
And I criticize, like, full disclosure.
You want to create distance?
So I don't. Sometimes I'm very leery when I think I can clear something up. People will have strong opinions, right? Trev's departure, how Coach Rule handled something, maybe wrestling at UNO or something. Scott Frost tenure or Bo and what was his AD's name?
Oh,
Eichhorst. Like sometimes I feel like I know exactly what it is. And I still never feel like, and it could be one of the parties involved confiding in me, but I still never feel like it's my place to come in and rock the boat versus just staying out of it.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Coach P's got to know with the platform he has, when you do stuff like that, you just always hope, at least this is how I look at it. You always hope that, from Kirsten's standpoint, she's okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it raises more questions than provides answers.
Sure.
Unless you're mature enough to just understand, hey, this is my opinion.
Yeah, and maybe
you know what I mean?
Maybe he just doesn't care about rocking the boat.
Could be.
You know what I mean?
That's successful in that experience. Maybe you don't.
And there's really no consequences for him. In terms of, he's not looking for another job or anything like that. It's just, hey.
And I don't think he meant it to be malicious either.
No, I think he just.
I think from the place where it came from.
Yeah, I think he just noticed, hey, this is sort of a weird interaction for somebody who's meant a lot to
I
this
thought that
university.
too, but I didn't gas the fire because I didn't want to steal her sunshine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not my energy to try to.
Is it Len? Is that Len, Shane? Steal My Sunshine?
Len, Len.
Thank you. It's a 90s song.
English? Anyone?
Len is the band. They sang a song called Steal My Sunshine.
Okay.
You steal my sunshine. Anyway.
I can just tell you, this is certain. in the 90s.
Yeah, you were listening to a lot of Len.
I was locked into particular things, and it was not anywhere near that genre.
Len may have been allowed to date the volleyball team.
Okay.
Were you
fair?
Were you locked into this song?
I would have been. I
Um,
remember my first project was to take a deep dive on a historical figure.
Yeah.
I picked Malcolm X. That's where I was at.
Oh yeah, Omaha guy.
Exactly. Yep, that's what it was. Thank you. Good looking out.
Got you.
Appreciate the lifeline, my man.
No, I mean, I think there are some people who say, "Hey, this is my opinion." People care about what Terry Pettit thinks about in the volleyball world. Like he's a big figure there still, and so maybe he just says,
I mean, Abby Barmore wrote about it from On 3. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was a scud heard around the volleyball community.
And so I do just wonder if he goes, "Hey, people care about what I have to say about these things. I noticed something that kind of got my ears to perk up. I'm going to talk about it."
Yeah, and I felt so. The real reason I asked you about it not was just because the connection to Creighton and that we had talked about it, and it was so stunning in how it happened, and we may or may not had a very intimate, intense group text conversation about this.
Oh yeah.
So. And by the way, at some point, we need to find some reason to talk to Matty DeMarinis.
Yeah, we can always talk to him.
Yeah,
for no reason.
Maybe we just shoot the breeze.
Yeah,
maybe we could talk Texans.
We talk about whatever we want.
Talk about Texans volleyball.
Creighton.
Why Jerron Roberts couldn't score in the post.
We talk about transfer portal stuff. We talk about whatever we want.
Yeah, I need a DeMarinis touch.
Terminator brings up a good point. She did. Bruce did thank Pettit directly in her speech,
and I understand.
Yeah.
So this is what I want. Okay, so thank you.
So there's a relationship there, but not between Pettit and Blossom necessarily.
Okay, because I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell people how to think.
Yeah.
But what I told you, what I would say is, he is closely connected with Coach Booth as anyone in the volleyball world.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So for him to say that, he has to have her. I don't know if he has her blessing.
Yeah.
But.
They
have a certain level of understanding that, hey, I'm riding with you.
He probably has a certain level of comfort that what he's saying isn't upsetting her.
Okay.
Fair.
Enough.
Even if he doesn't ask her specifically.
Yep, fair enough.
Like there's a certain, obviously I say a lot of out-of-pocket stuff to you and like at you, right?
Yeah, I am typically sitting here.
Most of the time. But
at least physically.
I have a certain level of understanding that I'm not saying anything that's upsetting you.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I'm not specifically asking for permission to make out of pocket, purple drink jokes, right? Like there's.
See,
I'm sorry, I saw a shot.
You just totally can't help yourself.
It was totally unnecessary.
You were just moving along so
it
fine.
Was totally unnecessary.
You didn't even need an example.
I really didn't.
That's fine.
But like, I don't specifically ask your permission, but we have a general understanding that like you can say whatever and I can say whatever and we're cool, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I do think that's probably because I think it would have been weird if he asked her permission, but I think they know each other well enough to say that's probably something she's okay with.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because there's a lot.
That's that registers quite a bit, and clearly. It's not going to bother Coach Rosen. I mean, he's
got the job.
He's going to do what he does.
Yeah.
But, you just get the sense he didn't say anything that people that are connected don't already know.
Yeah, I don't think he said anything that people that care at all about this don't already know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think you have to be connected so much as, like, I said this earlier in the week when the news came down before the press conference. There's basically two overriding factors here, and one of them is that there is this open secret about the tension in the athletic department with Blossom and some of the coaches. Like that's just, or some of the coaches and administration or whoever, right? Like that's a thing that has been known about Creighton for the last couple years, at least. That's not news. So I don't think he was lighting any matches that people didn't know there was kindling there already, right? That's just kind of what it was.
That's a nice word.
Kindling?
Spoken like a true Bree sailboat. Moose guy.
People use kindling in like camping.
Kindling. It's cute.
It's like the little stuff you start.
I guarantee you, KP camps, and I don't think he says kindle.
Somebody's got to tell me, like, kindling. It's like the stuff you start a fire with, right? Like,
most people in
what do they
your
call
world
it?
think of it as a way to read books.
No, that's a Kindle, not kindling.
But if you were reading, wouldn't you be kindling?
Oh, I'm just out here kindling all day.
Sure, Shade, idiot. I don't know why you're riding with this dude. That's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
So, yeah, I'm gonna land that plane because I don't know why Shane just chimed in there on your team.
I don't either.
The last couple handful of weeks is kind of starting to bug me because I protect this dude.
Yeah,
and you don't, and somehow he just has this natural inkling to jump in and like help you. You don't need any help.
I don't understand it either.
I'd let you sink.
You probably would.
You will embrace it.
Nah,
You'd be like, "How we doing down there?"
I mean, I let you struggle for a little bit. When you start to take on water, I got you.
Be like, "Hey, you gonna learn how to swim?"
Well, I do want you to be miserable for a little bit, though.
You're gonna be like, "I've got this life jacket. I'm not gonna let you die, but
All right, now I got you.
Try and tread water for a little bit there."
Just got to stay on.
I'm very bad at treading water. It's hard.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, I want you to play. Well, let's take a break.
All right.
Let's take a break because I want to come back to something before we talk to BC quickly. Give us about 60 seconds so I can cue the right clips that I want in order on if you think I was blowing smoke or not or being an apologist.
I like it.
You can say yes or no.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll have a little quiz game before we talk to BC coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Dana's got us, and Coach Butler's, got the defense. I think Coach made a really good point a couple weeks ago. Dana's trying to build the best offense that we can have. Coach Butler's trying to build the best defense that he can have, and Coach Rule's responsible to build the best team. And I think it's really freed him up just in the team meetings and just he's able to, not have to worry about 10 different things. He's just worried about the team and developing the team. And I think that's been a really good thing, really, this offseason.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB.
Yes, sir.
One of your favorites talked at press availability.
And it's not just me.
Two of your favorites, actually.
It's not. My mom came down on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And first time she'd been there since I played.
Oh, really?
Yeah. First time.
Okay.
And she got to meet everybody.
Everybody?
Right? Yep. Sat with the boss man. Nice little quaint deal. Saw his office. She did say, I'm going to put her on blast real quick. She said, oh, my gosh. It seems so cluttered in there. I know he can get it the way he wants. Does he want it like that? Anyway, it's just funny. That was her takeaway. She met a lot of guys, right? I told you we spent time talking to Addison and, hey, meet this person and that person. You know who left the lasting impression?
Who's that?
Sat. And he was in the biggest hurry.
Really?
Yeah. He was in the biggest hurry. And we sat at dinner, and she said, I understand a lot why you like him.
No, you're exactly right.
Oh, I know. It's spot on. And she won't admit either. She has a man crush on Coach Schneider too from wrestling.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was sitting to my left at dinner. I was just talking to him for a second, and she's like,
Well,
he looks so familiar. That's the wrestling guy. I said, don't worry, Mom. It's loud in here. He can't hear you.
oh my goodness.
But anyway, I loved what he said yesterday. And I got this message yesterday from this guy because I want you to be honest.
Yeah.
When I was defending Coach Sat,
yeah,
and it didn't have anything to do with the offensive production or lack of production, but I gave you the analogy when, I would talk to DJ all the time about, you can't have this life without me in it and what Nebraska was after, and you don't get what Nebraska's trying to build without Coach Satterfield in it. Be honest, real time, did I come across as an apologist?
You probably did. I didn't quite understand his personality yet. Right? Like I think yesterday was probably
And I didn't either as much as I do now, but I was picking up context clues.
You were early on the vibes
of
him for sure. I think yesterday was probably the first time I understood, oh, this is what DB was.
Even though he said,
Mm-hmm.
It's been emotional enough the last 96 hours. I had to take a moment.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe he went there.
Yeah.
Because dudes don't make themselves vulnerable like that.
Which I think why I appreciated it.
They just don't.
Because he was very honest.
And matter of fact, too.
Yeah.
Like, it hurt.
Yeah.
And I would say, I said, you guys, like, why not model the behavior that you're trying to build this culture on?
Yeah.
And I would get mad. Oh, you're paying $1.2 million for a tight ends coach. And well, first of all, it's not your money.
Yeah.
Second of all, like the value of what he's bringing to the table is bigger than anything even I could see. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't put a price tag on that. So then to hear him articulate it again yesterday, Shane, how quickly can those little Vienna sausages find the clip you opened the show with? Pretty quick?
Pretty quick.
Yep. Listen to this again.
We preach every day there's going to be adversity. And if what happened to me is no different than a player getting benched or, having to go from first team to second team. It's no difference. And I believe in this place. I believe in Nebraska. I believe in everything. When I came here, I still believe it. We got great things ahead of us. I think we can do it, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to finish what we started. And I thought it'd be a great example for our guys just to see when you go through some hard stuff, like practice what you preach and just keep coming to work and keep giving it your best every single day.
You can't ride with that?
No, I 100% can. But that's the first we've gotten of that where I really got what you were talking about with him. So at the time, part of it did feel
I appreciate your honesty telling me I come across as an apologist. That's cool.
At the time, I thought it was more like you liked him personally, so you were kind of riding for him professionally. That's what it came off as to me, which listen, that's fair. Like there's
100%.
There's a lot of
we
people.
We can still kick it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I'll do that with where it's like, hey, if I like a person personally, I'm more likely to vouch for them professionally. And sometimes that backfires. Sometimes it works out. Like it just kind of is what it is. I thought more, frankly, at the time that I was more defending his offense, which I thought, and listen, Dana Holgerson's a better offensive coordinator than Marcus Satterfield. Like, that's not a hot take. I think Satterfield would tell you the same thing. Like, when he talks about learning from a mind like Dana's, like, that's sort of what he's talking about. But I do think there was some things where it's like, okay, when we look back in retrospect and remove Marcus Satterfield from the equation, and we just look at what happened on the field, where you go, yeah, there's probably some throws out there you'd like Dylan to make. And there's probably some plays out there you'd like your wide receivers to make. And there's probably some holes out there you'd like the running backs to hit. And there's probably some second-level tackles you'd like the running backs to break. And, whatever it is, right, there's probably some kicks you'd like your kickers to make that would make Marcus Satterfield look a lot differently in our eyes in real time. So that's more what I was defending. And listen, maybe if he's not the guy that can get those guys to do those things, then maybe you do need to move on, and that's fine. Or maybe there's a system that makes it easier for those guys to do those things, and that's fine. But two things can be true at once. He could have been pretty close to getting guys to execute at a level that we would have been happy with.
Yeah.
And Dan Holgerson can still be better at this job than pretty much anybody else Nebraska could have hired.
I got this message as we go to break from a guy, and he said a few more things. He was asking my opinion on the connection between Harburg and the tight ends room, but he was really honest. He said, I was so skeptical of Sat, but I've listened to you speak about him for so long, and I feel like he really showed who he was in today's press conference. I'm a huge fan now, right? And I just hope, and it's not him to it's not the point isn't in him to convince. It is in you now know why those guys can kind of function and operate as a staff the way they do, because they're actually going through it.
Yeah.
Real time too.
Right there with you.
There is no difference, no set apart, no set aside. If you're going to get this thing done, you better lock in, lock up, connect fingers, and move. If any of those three things aren't hitting your checklist, and when I say move, we assume we're in the same directions. If you're going to lock in, lock up, and move, when you see the brass do it, when you see a guy like Snow take notes and sit in on coaches' meetings and do his due diligence before he opens up his mouth, or hear Coach Rule say, when I started with the Giants, my goal was that I didn't say anything, and then I became a mastermind. It's all intentional. Just do your job. Be unselfish. Lock in, lock up, move. That's it.
And what's a better example of having competitive stamina and enduring
than hanging in there the way he did?
Than having a coach model that behavior for you.
100%.
We're going to talk to Brian Christopherson here on Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Sat and I got really close during the 2023 season. That year was like a war every week, trying to find a win. And so he and I just got really tight during 2023. He knows that I was going to do whatever I could to get a win on Saturdays, and I watched him basically live in the facility that year. He gave everything he had that year, and I respect him so much. That's a guy that I would go to battle for any day of the week.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. What's up, BC?
Hey, how you guys doing?
B sizzle. And what was kind of I liked yesterday's presser is it fits my personality, because it kind of gives you a snapshot with the two guys that spoke, and then Harburg about the culture. I have to that you're okay, because I am really worried about your Minnesota Twins. They're not fielding it very well. Struggling to pitch it, struggling to hit it. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but I need to know, as a key contributor to what we do, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be okay. Struggling to pitch it and hit it is usually a bad combination, though. 3 and 8.
They can't pick it either.
No. Griffin Jacks, who I like, has blown 2 games for us. Airmail to throw to first base from the pitcher's mound the other day. So it could be a long season. I'm not ready to. I don't think we can run the confirmation music on that yet, but it's starting to show signs of that already. And I was a little worried even beforehand because they were trying to get a new owner to buy the team, and that fell through. And it just kind of felt like dark clouds over Target Field this year.
I do wonder, like, what's the deal with Minnesota teams and not being able to sell? You know,
Well, don't worry. It's over for the Dodgers too, BC. We can be kindred. He's like, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, so 9-4, BC, 3 in a row. It's ugly.
Yeah, I heard somebody kibitzing about the Dodgers the other day. Won't name names, but I was like, come on, no one wants to hear it. So don't bring that trash this early in the morning, Damon.
Kibitz. Lock it up.
Bob. I like the don't bring that trash this early in the morning. That's my favorite.
I know. BC, for a football guy, I reconciled the pressers yesterday in my head. A lot of philosoph, a lot of feel good kind of culture stuff, man, that I think is going to be pretty critical for this team going forward. Given who spoke, were you surprised the direction the pressers seemed to take, or did you guys just kind of feed off Sat making himself super vulnerable early on?
No, I knew he would be asked about that, and I thought he handled it really well as anybody could in that situation.
He's a real dude.
Yeah, I think that too. I'm not doing this to bring up old stuff, but I thought too much was made about one slip he had last offseason and the yards per play comment, which anybody who's on air or answers questions for like 10 to 15 minutes knows that you can have a verbal slip. You're bound to have something like that happen. And I bring that up only because the next time this was off camera, he made a joke about it with some of the media. And for whatever reason, that kind of stuck with me, just the humility to he came in that next time. He wore it, had some humor about it. And I'm bringing that story up because I've always liked his personality too. And I thought yesterday the fan base got to see that, him talk about something that's difficult to go through. And he handled it in a way that I think his players are going to admire. And it's really good for the program.
Yeah, BC, I know that, I don't want to stay on this particular point for too long, but I do think there's I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. Do you think yesterday and that vulnerability that Satterfield gave changed sort of the narrative around him? Because it had been largely kind of negative, whether it was the play calling from last year that we can't separate from being the tight ends coach, or not getting his salary changed from being the tight ends coach. Like, do you think that what we heard yesterday changed the way people perceive him?
Yeah, I think it'll help some people move on from the whole, he's getting paid $1.4 million to coach tight ends. I do that too. That
and ran. That'd have been worse.
They could have gotten $1.4 million.
I'm not
to
sticking
not
around
anything.
if I get demoted.
Yeah, exactly. And when he talked yesterday about, it's like a player. We preach to them. There's going to be adversity. It's like getting benched, going from first team to second team. You take it. Yeah, you take it. You learn from things. There's some things that were outside of your control within it. I heard you guys last segment, and there's a throw that to Lyndon Meyer against Illinois that changes things, a kick here or there. I mean, there's all sorts of factors that play into it. But I think you saw in Harburg's answers later just their true respect. And I thought Harburg going up there after him really tied it all together. And it was very complimentary. And how you saw, okay, this is what the coach said, but this is how a player sees it. He sees what his coach did and sticking around, and how he said, I'd go fight for that guy in any battle. And I saw how it was in 23 when we're just scrapping to get a win. I think all that stuff's going to resonate and kind of push the conversation beyond what it's been. I do.
BC, do you, with that conversation that Harburg had, or kind of the comments that Harburg had about Satterfield and what that was like there. Like, do you see kind of correlations between those two guys being a little maligned and being sort of, I don't want to say
they're the yeah but guys.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They're the yeah but guys. It's like, yeah, the tight end room has been good, but he was so bad as offensive coordinator. Or yeah, he kind of saved us in 2023, but he wasn't good enough to get us to a bowl game. Like, do you see sort of that connection between those two guys, even in just those brief comments?
Yep, there's a real kinship. And I like that Heinrich's like, I'm not trying to speak for Sat here, but this is how I feel. There is a connection in that regard. It's old man in the arena quote, like there's two guys who were in the arena, and you put it on the line and you see all the work the other person does, even if it fails. And that means a lot to you. And that relationship, you can tell, is genuine. And that, I think, is why that press conference was good yesterday. Is it wasn't when Heinrich got up there, I think anybody watching it or listening to it could tell that was from the heart, as he really wanted to talk about Sat in that way. And I think that, this fan base loves people who stick something out too. Like they will take their jabs at someone as they're struggling or whatever. But at the end of the day, it has always been a fan base that really admires a person who hangs in there with this program and sees the good parts of this program and can overlook some of the potholes. And I think this fan base is probably going to come more to that with Marcus Satterfield now after yesterday's press conference. I do think it was useful in just kind of pushing us past that storyline or whatever sort of hovered whenever that conversation came up.
And BC, and I've said this, and I hope it continues to play out. Let's not act like everybody in that room isn't getting better too, right? I mean, Lindemeyer's going to have a chance to get played. Fedoni got drafted. He went in depth a little bit about Carter Nelson. We know that Eric Ingerson's coming. Like a lot of these guys, Mark Way, we heard Coach Holgerson in New York say one of the first things I noticed is his ability to work with Coach Raiola. I don't have to worry about the run game. Like, pretty good tight ends coach too, even though we kind of undersell tight ends. They're going to be integral in this offense. So I would caution that we better not do that.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting position groups when you just go through the names. I mean, everybody always talks over Lindenmeyer, and he's like the leader of the room. Harburg, of course, has just a fascinating story of what can he do with his potential, but having to pick it up quick. Then you hear a name like Echternach, come up yesterday as a walk-on who has come on and, could fight for the rotation. And I know there's other guys as well sort of trying to knock on that door. We'll see if Mark Way, where he is, by summer, fall, and Carter Nelson as well. But you hear that Carter Nelson's up to 238, and you can just tell the excitement on the coaching staff about like what could happen there. Obviously, there's going to have to be a lot of work put in, but they see all the traits in him, and they're going to want to develop him, and that's going to be fun. And so, yeah, he's got an exciting room, and I think he always has said this even when he was OC about tight end. It's the position that has to do like everything. And to him, I think it truly is the best position on the football field. So I took him at his word when he said, I'm having the best time of my coaching life, or whatever that quote was there at the end. I feel like, he probably has some weight off his shoulders now, and he's just coaching ball. And by the way, he's a good recruiter. He spots guys that are, maybe going to take off in this program. And he's been good in Colorado. And like a guy like Jordan Ochoa is a guy that he was kind of in on. And he's always kind of brought up in that category too, as a recruiter. And that tells me a lot about someone who just put his head down after all this and still went to work at all those things.
How about Ochoa? Because I want to get to Dvorak and kind of what he talked about yesterday about staying in the moment, but kind of that symbiotic thing that he's got to have going on with Terry and Coach Simpson, where you look at guys like Ochoa, they have so many poster child candidates for eye for evaluation, patience, development, like splash. And he's got a couple of prime candidates. He is Dvorak with guys like that he can put on full display this year as well.
Yeah. He's got a really interesting room, Dvorak, when you think of, you bring in a new guy, but who has just a stacked resume at a different level, wants to prove it in Watson Trent. Obviously, the whole Javen Wright story, and I think that's going to be fascinating, just seeing what he can do when he actually gets the practice time. And then I thought his Dvorak's best quote to me was when he was asked about, Vincent Shavers, and just like that constant, like, yesterday's yesterday. We're moving on from that. Whatever meeting you're in, whatever moment you're in, that's where the focus is, and getting something out of that, and what he's driving home to Shavers. And I can't lie, when we were over there the other day, and it's only like a 25-minute segment that we were watching, and I was watching the defense in the Hawks, and Shavers, man, my eyes just drawn to that guy. Like, he's just, the way he moves and stuff, it's exciting, but I think he's got the coach with the right temperament for his talent and his potential to work with him, and like, just keep pushing, man. You've done some stuff, but there's more. And I think Shavers has that kind of mindset from the times I've talked to him too. So I'm excited how that relationship just keeps building.
Wait, weren't you the Scorsese with the behind the phone? What did Brunt refer to you as? Is the because the footage?
Oh,
and Brunt's was like BC with the Scorsese. Who was the director that he referred you to?
Yeah, Scorsese. It's an ongoing joke.
Did that with
Brunt
your
has. Yeah, I do iPhone videos for us, and they're very elementary compared to the TV people.
I thought that was pretty crisp. I'm like, that's not his phone.
Yeah, I did it with the phone. So Bruns will always call me the Scorsese or the Ang Lee of practice footage. Ongoing joke. But yeah, people can check out that amazing footage on Husker 24/7 if they want to. But yeah, that was my responsibility, just holding up my phone like a little dork and trying to capture the moment. Capture Terry Braden at work.
He must be an incredible person, because according to you and Shafe, he just ruins you guys, and you just chuckle it up and shake it off. Brunts must be an amazing person.
Well, he always wears that A's hat, so you're like, okay, buddy, you're dealing with some things, so I'll let it slide. That's how that works.
Oh, wow.
Said the Twins fan.
Although they got 6 in the first last
Yeah.
night, I think they'll beat the Fathers again today, man. The A's, I actually like their roster, BC, not to derail you.
No, that's okay. Brunson and I like the A's too, because the A's and Twins are basically a paired organization. Every guy eventually plays for one or the other. Like a Robbie Grossman always comes through and is on one of our rosters. So Brunson and I always compare notes. We're like, oh yeah, he was with the Twins in 2019 and he's still hitting 221. That's awesome.
He's still hitting 221. We're talking with Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. With that answer about Vincent Shavers, I think most people's minds kind of went to like, hey, it doesn't matter what you accomplished last year. You still have to work and do it today. I also kind of thought about it from the other side of the coin. Do you think it also applies to guys that maybe haven't been able to break through yet, or have even been disappointing up until this point in their careers, that they still have an opportunity to get out there and get it done?
Yeah, absolutely. And he also stressed, like, I just want to see these guys play as much as you can to make decisions. And there's going to be, I don't know exactly who's going to settle into sort of those, I guess you'd call them like 4 through 6 spots, like in the linebacker room. I mean, there's some interesting guys who have sort of been around 2 or 3 years. I know they like move Ramir Stewart up there. Dylan Rogers still over there. Jacob Bauer's a walk-on who pops up in conversation here and there. So I think there's some guys who maybe they're not going to start this fall at backer, but they have to see an opportunity where I could carve out a role on this team that's pretty significant. So I'm sure he was talking to his whole room. I know he was, because he said this isn't just about Vincent, this is about everybody. So he kept coming home to that point.
BC, when you're perusing, and I get it, you're at the mercy of the time of where guys are, but You have such a good relationship. Why don't you ask or tell Keith that media, we should get to start with go inside, or not where the defense is, or wherever the good stuff's happening, and see if you can get him to put a bug in Coach Rule's ear, because I think you have some pull, BC. You just don't want to shoot your shot?
Inside the walls, you mean, like conversations like that? What are you talking about here?
Hey, Keith, you know what? Let's start out here. Let's see if you can put us in here. What do you think about that?
Hey, if you can make that happen, I know you've got some sway. So whatever you can do to push that forward.
I lost all pull. Coach Rule is not happy that Hell Varsity pumped out the picture of him looking a little cold.
Really?
Which was kind of funny, because do you know what he was doing in that picture? Like, if you go to Hell Varsity, you see this photo, he looks like he's freezing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's making fun of Kristen Coggins.
Oh, it was a misrepresentation, huh?
Yeah, so for acting like she's cold. And that picture got caught. And I don't know, man. I couldn't tell if he was not happy or happy, but I know.
I'm just saying that Photoshop job has Austin Jacobson written all over it.
Dude,
a lot. I mean, a lot of times he rolls in and, like, when it's like 40 degrees practices, he'll have like shorts on. So it probably does mean something to him. I liked that yesterday someone caught him not caught him. I thought it was awesome. He had the coffee in his hand out there, and that's like how I'd be coaching.
He definitely has a coffee guy. You know why he does that? And he did this when Coach Cook talked at the press conference too. He had just left, or at the coach's clinic. He had just gotten off the treadmill in the weight room, even though he had just gone through a workout before that. And I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like, you got to calm down. You never know when you got to be ready. You never know when you got to be ready. I might have to hop in a drill. So he wears shorts and tennis shoes like that in case he feels compelled to have to get in a drill.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He dresses to be ready. Mm-hmm. Now, whether he hurt himself or not is something altogether different, but he's going to shoot his shot.
Yeah, I get that. That's why, I always wear this Sports Writer North face, so I'm at the ready to type out a story at any time. You gotta have the right wear on to perform.
Let me ask you. Wow. If you're looking at kind of situationally what you want Nebraska to be able to do on defense, where does finding a bona fide pass rusher rank when you go through the rundowns of what you want them to do?
It has to be like number 1 or 2, honestly.
Like ahead of scheme, ahead of.
Yeah, it's got to be like a 1B or 2 on the list. Maybe there's something that you could throw in ahead of it. But I think if you can find those 1 or 2 guys, especially who separate themselves as game wreckers, it's third down, I'm going to go hunt, or not even third down. That changes the whole game. And so I think they've got possibilities there. You don't want to talk too much about names at this point, but McGahee is a guy that I'm excited about. So I think McGahee played 117 snaps last year. And if you think about that sample size, he had like 13 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, sack. He had 2 forced fumbles, and he had like 2 or 3 almost forced fumbles. And so I know people say, well, it didn't happen. But you saw that, like, man, he's that close, and he didn't have that much of a runway into his first year. What could he do now in that second season? You don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he's a guy that I'm excited about, and I'm as curious as anybody with McCullough and like how that's going to pop out. But I think there could be others, that emerge. And watching Keona Davis and Williams Winnari the other day work out, just it is what it is, a individual type drills, but I like how they look, at least, and I like how they were getting after it and getting praise from Terry Braden. So there's options to develop this offseason to make that a reality.
We're like kindred spirits, BC. We just keep feeding each other. It's interesting you brought up the almost forced fumble, and that there was a stretch where Coach Butler was talking during the coaching clinic, and he had these cut-ups of what he would call run-bys or almosts. versus affecting the quarterback, because they're on this affecting the quarterback thing. And he had a couple of clips of his guys kind of overrunning the quarterback, and then he climbs the pocket. Illinois famously, there was a couple against Wisconsin versus a guy, and then he showed a couple of like getting your hand up on a quarterback, and Bullock had a couple, and Shavers had one where he said this needs to be intentional, where when you're rushing the passer, you need to get your hands up or on that quarterback's arm. Don't just get near his feet. It has to be intentional to not have it be a pressure, but a forced, and then you fill in the blank, right? Like, and he just had like 8 or 9 clips just ready to roll where you could tell that's something that he's bent on when you say, well, he almost got there. Like they track that stuff to get better, and they want it to be intentional in practice when they work those drills. I thought it was fascinating, just a little minor thing like that. You're talking about 6 inches.
Yep.
But he's got all the cut-ups.
Well, if you want, okay, McGahee last year was an example of, it had a good season, don't get me wrong, but almost plays were there. The year before, Javen Wright had in 23 a bunch of almost plays. He got some too, but if you want the ultimate example, I think of that game in Boulder where he almost hit Shedeur Sanders as he's going to throw it. Ends up being a 50-yard pass. Nebraska had momentum. It got wrestled away on that one play. That ends up a 36-14 game. Everyone's like, yeah, Nebraska got waxed and all this stuff. That's the type of play that changes the whole thing. If you can get the, like you're talking about, Damon, it's just a few inches here or there. It's everything.
And they know it. Like I appreciated the fact that they're not resting. Right? I mean, that's kind of maniacal. You know?
Yeah, and I got to think, guys, too, like McGahee and those guys love to, everybody wants to get sacks and those numbers. And so anything you can do, be like, this is how close this was to going as a big play in the stat sheet, all those things you want. If you do this can change it. So, yeah, a few of those plays are the difference between, 7-6 and 9-4 at least, or something like that.
That's our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 BC. We appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, B.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We will be right back with Andy Kendeigh from KETV. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
And Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to 3.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Who are some of those people you point to in terms of mentors, or maybe some that you've had conversations with and wanting to step away from this role?
Gosh, it's hard to name names because you know you're going to forget people. My entire staff has been awesome. I've talked to them. My husband. Gosh, there's been different people. I mean, through my time here, Jim Flannery and I office next to each other, and we definitely have hashed a lot of things out over the years. Bruce Rasmussen, I still talk to a lot these days. Terry Pettit. So many, gosh, there's so many people and you tap into different people for different needs. But I'm so grateful for all the people that are willing to take my call and give advice and lend support. Brandon Rosenthal at Lipscomb was someone that I really leaned into, and people probably don't even know that we're good friends, and just talking through am I being crazy, and him processing all this with me.
Hey everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Joining us now is our friend Andy Kendeigh from KETV. Andy, what's going on, bud?
What's happening, boys? I am fired up. It is a great day. It's beautiful out.
AK, what is it? The Masters? Fresh off some feel good cultural PCs yesterday. What were you excited about? What moved the needle?
I am jacked up. Here we go. I just changed a load of laundry, which is a big step for me, right?
Congratulations.
A load of laundry. It's at 8:30. I am off. I am not working for the next few days. And it's the Masters. It is my daughter's spring break and my wife's spring break, but it's also the Masters. If you're doing the hand thing, you're like, which is equal? I don't know. Masters this weekend, and my daughter and wife are on spring break. What a great combination.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you coming to the Jet Awards Gala tomorrow night?
I'm hopefully going to. If my schedule, there's one thing I got to get out of, and then I'm there.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Who can tell you? Who tells you what to do? Unless it's your wife, then it's fine.
There's a laundry list of people who tell me what to do. But that should be a fun night. I was talking to Michael about that. It seems like a good deal. So it's you can get in for $20, right? And watch the ceremony. So it's not like tickets are like extravagant.
Absolutely. And outside of Weegan being the award winner, it's going to be a beautiful night. No, I'm kidding. He's really, really good. But shocked that Iowa and special teams going together, winning an award. I know you're floored, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm stunned. In fact, we were talking in the office yesterday, and I was like, hey, Lord, the Jet Awards are Thursday. They're going to do some availability in the afternoon. And I go, and here's the thing, like sometimes, video for the trying to gather video is a little bit of a search, but not with this guy. This guy, we've got, talk about a whole bunch of video because of the proximity and his ability and all that stuff in the games that he's played against Nebraska. So, yeah, we're going to be loaded for bear there. It should be a fun night, though. I mean, to have it at Baxter, I think it was a genius move to not only give people an opportunity to if they want to get close, you can get close for a certain price. But if you just want to get in and enjoy the festivities, you can do that for $20 or $19.99 or whatever. That's a cool deal.
As a guy that's been here from the jump for the 14 years, like in the thick of it and seen it grow, I appreciate the fact that this isn't even a shameless plug. It just fits my personality. They're constantly finding ways to better the event. Efficiency, time, order. I mean, the rehearsal is now the day before. The signings are the day before. I mean, just the little things logistically. The sound checks, I think, I don't know, man. It's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, DB, I remember being at the first one when it was like everybody came at one time about an hour before the ceremony, and there might be media over here, and we're at Metro. It was at Metro.
Oh, yeah.
It was at Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Franklin Thompson was like doing songs with his daughter on stage. I mean, he's like, hey, grab my CD. And I was like, what is going on?
What is happening? Right, yeah. But to see it evolve, and it's now at Baxter Arena, and and it's probably you're going to probably have the biggest crowd or one of the biggest crowds they've had. It's great to see. And I tip my hat to Michael. Michael Tavere's done a nice job with it.
He's a little neurotic, but he is really good at what he does.
Yeah, you want a guy that's focused in and getting the job done. He's the guy, and he is all in. I mean,
my man is AK. He sent me 4 final scripts.
Like the final script.
Right.
And then this morning, he sent me the 2-day rundown starting with this like he's not playing. He is not messing around.
This is his wedding, right? This is his wedding.
Yeah.
He's planning it down.
And with us, I mean, if anytime you want me to be your MC, it's like herding cats, right? It's
yeah.
I mean, best wishes.
Yeah. And he may give you a script. Does that really matter, though, DB?
You know what he finds funny? He knows I can't read, so he puts it in like 15-point font, and I feel like I'm carrying around the Old Testament.
They need to get you one of those presidential teleprompters, those ones with the real clear screen, so you can just look at it.
AK, how long have you worked with me?
From
the jump, I can't read it. You're like, let's just pass. What do you want to do?
Yeah. DB, I think if you want to pivot, if you want to do a Coach Booth and pivot on your career, I think weather could be your calling because weather has no prompter. All you have to do is learn that backward math thing, and you'd be the green screen, you'd be in.
Hey, ask Lauren what it's like when she tells me to move to the right. I will be all the way off the screen to the left, and she says, no, the other way as you're looking at it. She has to pull her hair out.
Yeah, the other right.
You do like the L's.
I can imagine you.
It's backwards.
Your arm over your chest, like
I'm like,
my country 'tis of thee. Is that my right?
And you know what she does? She just does like her thumb like this way, like scoot over. She's like, I can't believe people are receiving information from this dude.
I think we need to roll on the before the record button is hit in the studio. I think that would be good content to put online.
You know who's probably in there traumatized now that I think about it, because we do it early on Sundays now. It's probably Caitlin. She has to be in there like, because she's getting ready to do the weather, and she's probably got to be like, what a moron.
Oh, I don't think she says that. Come on. I don't know.
I don't know, man. One time I couldn't dump the film that I wanted. I couldn't click out of it because the laptop I was using is not super current. And she goes, Lauren goes, give it here. I got it.
Yeah.
That's how it sounds.
You should see.
It's like, damn it.
Anything I've got, any technical challenges I have in the office, I have to go to my kids. Hey, Lord. Hey, Matt. Hey, can you come over here and help old Grandpa here figure out this Adobe update? Because I can't figure it out.
I don't feel so bad.
No, I know. I'm with you. Baby.
I asked BC earlier, were you a little surprised or maybe not, given who was actually speaking, that the press conference, the coaches kind of took a cultural tone and a lot less football yesterday? Is that luck of the draw with just who was talking? Was Sat being so open, honest?
Yeah, I think the Satterfield thing was a little bit of a surprise at how forthcoming he was and transparent. Because last year he was pretty close to the vest. I thought he was real. I thought if people haven't listen to his whole deal, I think it's worth a listen because I appreciated his honesty and his willingness to look at what happened last year with an honest eye. It had to be tough for the guy. I mean, here he is in real time saying, hey, we're bringing in another guy to take the job that you're doing. But, oh, by the way, you're still going to be on staff, but it's up to you. And he says, you know what? I'm going to, I'll pivot and work whatever we need to do. And this year, in terms of the tight ends, I think he's in a good spot. Now, is it easier to be in a good spot making what he makes? Of course it does. But I just thought the tone he set yesterday and the parallels between him and Heinrich Haarberg, their stories, I thought was a terrific storyline. Matt Tilley did a nice piece on it last night for us. And I just think, thinking one thing and then having the season play out and having to do another, I mean, there's nothing that can prepare you for it. He goes in thinking he's going to be running the offense to a bowl game, and then all of a sudden you get demoted and you got to keep a stiff upper lip and a positive attitude because you don't want the culture to select. Because people are looking at him, and his reaction to what he did is very telling because, he said it. It was a teachable moment, and his guys are looking at him to see how he's going to react and what kind of example is he going to set. And I thought, the way he handled things was admirable, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned kind of the change of course last year, but he also had a change of course his first year where he thinks he's running one offense and he has to learn the triple option in the middle of the season. Like he's
and Haarberg Haarberg's delivery let you know how serious what they were doing was. He said every day, every week, it was like a war to come up with some. I'm like, I completely believe that.
Yeah, I do too, and I give them credit for what they thought they were going to do 2 years ago to what they wound up doing. Because I had to go back and fish for old Haarberg video as quarterback when he was breaking off those long runs. And man, that kid has athleticism that just oozes. And can he make that translate to the tight end spot and bring the physicality that's needed for that position? I think that's one of the great storylines. I do think he does have that ability. And I think in the long run, it's a win-win. This is one of those few situations where you look at it, and I think in the end, we're going to look back and go, wow, what a great decision. Kind of like the Cam Jurgens thing when he moved to center. Maybe I'm overstepping that right now because it's early and it's easy to say that because Heinrich hasn't played more than a full game there. But he's got all the tools, I'll say that, DB, that he's got all the tools to really make a jump and be a force at that position.
I just think with all the talk the last handful of months about we weren't good enough, there is no curse, we need to be better, just play football, cut out the background noise, let's just get better. What was last week? He said something. Oh, it was, hey, when I started with the Giants, I didn't say anything. I earned the right. And then you hear Sat yesterday. I just think we'll look back at a team that I do think has better players on paper than a year ago, and you may call talented, could be pretty good. I actually think the continuing to develop the frame of how to go to work every day is still the most important thing. And we may look back at this as kind of it makes sense now. We got to cheer and support one another.
Yeah, no question. And I remember that after the USC loss, asking Coach Rule about that curse. He's like, there's no curses. He was upset with the loss, not with the question, but it was clear to see that he was not making any excuses. Where some coaches, I'm not going to name names, but some coaches in the past could maybe take that and run with it as an easy excuse, an easy cop out. But Rule said absolutely not. There is no such thing as a curse. We're going to get it done. And I think, once they learn how to win consistently, the train will be rolling. And this could, obviously it is April. I get it. I understand. But they are doing all the right things in April to make the fall and put themselves in a position to be in the conversation. And that's all you can ask for. They're doing all the right things. And I think you're right. I think this what they're doing now will pay dividends in the future, because I think that culture shift, it's not a flip the switch thing, as you guys know. It is a gradual thing. It's kind of like when Dylan was talking about, the battle with his body composition. God knows I know everything he's talking about. It doesn't happen overnight. The same thing with culture, right? The same thing with culture. It's one of those building blocks. You got to, that's why when you hear coaches calling stacking success, it's kind of like stacking the culture foundation. It doesn't happen overnight. It's these little layers. And then once you know it and once you got it, then you can turn the corner. But yes, if you want to go back to my body composition issues, I'm happy to talk about that too.
Andy Kendeigh, KETV, we appreciate it.
AK,
Thanks.
I want you to
Thanks,
enjoy.
boys.
I want you to enjoy your time off. Nebraska baseball coming off a win. They have some pretty good midweek opportunities. You can get past. I think it's Iowa and Northwestern. You got Kansas. You got Kansas once already.
Yeah.
You got the Jays, and then you got Kansas again. Don't put those guys on life support just yet, AK.
Yeah, and Kansas State at the end of the month. This team has the ability. Can they do it consistently? Boys, what's your picks for the Masters, by the way? I might be heading to a local establishment. I want to get your input.
Fudge.
Is it Rory's year?
He's playing well. There's a couple of key stats like strokes gained, tee to green that always reigns supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I am out of 8, AK. Would you like to guess what pick I am? And it's serpentine, so you go one way and then backwards.
Draft. Okay.
So what would you guess? What pick would you like to be in 8 if that was how the setup was?
And it's an 8-player draft?
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, Rory's going to be gone, obviously. JT, if JT's there,
I'm picking 5th.
Oh, well, you'll get like Morikawa's right there too.
That's my guy. Ravi's
Ravi's
he's laughing at me. I always ride with this guy.
Right.
And the blade inevitably on the weekend fails me. But I may go back to it. But I have one again, the 5th pick. What do you think about Matsuyama?
Well, obviously he's got history. I like guys who historically play well there and who have experience there.
And I may be able to get him on the. I may be able to get him on the comeback.
You might be able to get him second.
If you get him on the comeback, yeah. And then how many rounds is it, TB?
We only get 4.
Okay.
So
all right. Sleeper. Don't sleep on like Corey Connors late or like a Russell Henley late or a Tyrell Hatton late.
No, you know
who's been
you know who
playing
I'm thinking about getting late.
Sergio.
You know who I'm thinking about getting late is a guy like Wyndham Clark.
Okay. Yeah, he's legit. He's legit. Seth Straka. I mean, you never know.
I was riding with him in the Players.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Okay.
I was riding with him in the Players.
If you want to do a golf betting breakdown, this is a new segment. I'm in for it.
I might go with Robbie's guy Tagala.
I'm going with John Rahm.
Oh,
are you?
Rahm.
You're going with John Rahm.
Yep.
I went with John Rahm for years and years and years and years, and then he finally broke through. It's kind of like Rory. If I keep betting Rory, one of these years he's gonna win it, right?
I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out who. You would think that Scheffler has to go 1, right?
Well, he's
even off the
top
injury.
10 lock, right? Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah.
You would think, if not 1, 2, right, or top 5. His numbers, by the way, for top 5, top 10, top 20 are brutal. So if you don't pick him to win it, you may as well. I kind of stay away from Scheffler.
Top 10, he's minus 200. Top 20, he's minus 500. So you're getting no love.
Yeah. Yeah. So why even bother, right? Why even bother?
All right. I may fire off a text later before we have a meeting of the minds.
Right. I'm going to lunch, and that's where burgers and beverages and burgers and maybe some betting.
Well, gosh, I'm jealous. Enjoy your. I have rehearsal at 1.
Is there a 15-minute window in the
15 minutes? Do you know how many? Do you know who's involved? You wouldn't need 15 minutes just to walk in the same direction.
It's like a circus. It is literally a moving circus.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a well-planned circus.
Yeah, I got you.
That's our guy, Andy Kendeigh, KETV.
Good luck, boys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck with your Masters, maybe or maybe not betting. We appreciate it.
Do I go back to the Morikawa well?
I don't feel good about Morikawa this week.
So I would skip because somebody's going to take a run at Ludwig.
I was kind of looking.
I've tried this before, and
I
he
was kinda
burned me
looking at
when we
Lulla.
did this last year.
Who?
Well, I took a run on Shoffley.
Yep.
But you know who I'm going to get with my third or last pick,
Who?
just because he's my dude and he's playing well. Who's my favorite non-Tiger golfer?
Justin.
Justin Thomas?
No.
Oh, it's yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's not Justin, but he's your guy. He is your guy because that's what you say every single time. You're always in every single pick that I've gone with you. You've always taken that guy.
I'll take him at some point.
Do you have a name, or are you just going to keep talking around it, Shane?
Yeah, so he's close.
Okay.
It's not Justin.
Dustin.
It's
Johnson.
not Dustin. Stay with the Jays.
Jason Day.
Correct.
Yeah, it's Jason Day.
That's my dude.
I could have told you that. Could have just asked.
He's played well this year. He did ask.
If you could have told us that, why didn't you?
Just hope the back holds up.
Jason Day.
At some point, I'm gonna get Day.
Jason Day sounds like he was a singer in like the 2000s, like
That's Green Day.
like Jason Mraz or like one of those.
I won't give up.
Yeah.
I won't give up.
Good one. Look at you.
Yeah.
So by the 2000s, you diversified your portfolio.
I had broadened my horizons, if you will.
Feels like a Jason Day sounds like a Jack Johnson, Jason Mraz,
Jack Johnson,
John Mayer type. Like he seems
out on Mayer.
He seems like he'd be in that. That sounds like that's the Jason Day.
Yeah, I'm not in. No. Don't paint me with that brush.
You
I
seem-
diversified, but I'm not.
Seem like a big Justin or
I'm not
John
going.
Mayer guy.
I'm not going over to that crowd.
What about like Justin Timberlake?
JT is nice.
Right with JT a little bit.
Yeah, JT's nice.
No John Mayer though.
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Just not a fan.
I need a little substance.
Your body's a wonderland's not doing it for you.
You seem like a ballad guy. Yeah, whatever.
Um,
Did you see that picture that
Yeah, I
Varsity tweeted out, Coach
I
Rule?
did. Yeah, it's too bad that nobody's ever gonna get to go to practice again. That's tough. It's tough. Good to see you, man. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for ruining it for everybody.
I'm one and done though, I think.
Oh shoot!
He got cracked on a run play.
Thanks a lot, Austin.
It's physical. It's hard. It's cold.
I don't even think it was Austin actually, but that's okay. It's if it was a bad picture of one of us, it was definitely Austin.
Oh
man!
If it's anybody else, it probably isn't him, but that's okay.
You think it was AJ?
No. He doesn't usually do the graphics and stuff for
I
the
sure hope so.
Don't we need something we can blame on him?
I'll blame
He's
what-
been kind of getting off scot-free lately. He needs to have a flub up.
I hate that.
He was on a stretch where we could pick on him mercilessly. He's been kind of kept his nose clean.
Yeah, I think he got a little deep in the weeds on some of the pot stirring that he was doing.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Well, I mean, you slapped his hand.
Well, that was just between me and him, though.
Yeah, still.
That was a long time ago.
Gotta keep watering the bamboo.
Oh yeah, I did have to. Yeah,
I've actually been defending him around the office a little bit.
So he is a little stinker.
Yeah, well, this one was unprompted. This was
You
I
know
felt
what
like
though? He does have some naughty to him.
I
Not
felt-
to talk about him like he's 12. I think he's engaged. Right?
mischievous.
He is kind of. He's. I can vibe though.
No, so people around the office give him a hard time because he brings his lunch bag to work, and he's
Oh no, is it GI Joe?
no, it's like it's a
Paw Patrol.
oh, it's like a real lunch.
Does it have clasps?
No,
Does he open it up? Is there a thermos?
no, it's like a children's lunch bag.
Transformers.
It's just some people find it to be a little bit larger than normal because
Was it like? Is it Michael Kors?
No, what are you talking about?
What kind of lunch? What's a lunch bag?
It's a bag in which you bring lunch.
Well, it could be a brown bag. It could be family fare. It could
looks
be
like an-
Fairway.
It looks
What's
like,
a lunch bag?
It looks like an igloo, like the brand, like the igloo. Like
Is it like a little flat one that you just zip open?
No, it's a decent size.
I'm so over your explanation. You would be terrible at Pictionary.
It's about. I'm doing the hand motion.
Yeah, I don't get it. You look like the people
Told
that
you.
sang "Walk Like an
Told you.
Egyptian." Oh, he definitely looks like a Chrysler 300 guy.
See, told you.
Yeah, he got it in too. Hey, I you feel like you want to go high five him, don't you?
He's got the coffee.
He looks like a dude that got it in. The goatee, the glasses, the hat, and the coffee. He's like, He's like, job well done.
Is going up on a Tuesday.
Did we miss who dropped him off?
I didn't. I could see the car. I couldn't see the.
Damn
I
it.
couldn't see the person.
Okay, OG.
Oh, there's the car right there, the white one. That's turning.
Yeah, that's not a that's
It's not a buddy.
Hey, you want me to take you back to your car this morning? How about after breakfast? Let's go get a coffee. Good on you. I ain't mad at you.
I'm just impressed he doesn't have to be at work before 9. Good for him.
And a 300? No, he's chill. He's got this.
Yeah, it's an older model.
He's got this.
That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We'll be back more at Sports Live with Mitch Sherman from The Athletic.
The Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to 3.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
What do I got to do? How do I get better? And it's got to be communication from me too. Like I got to tell them, hey, these are the things that I see. These are the things that we need to work on, and we got to have a plan. And so, again, my thought process is every day, like, what do I got to do today? Right? Coach Rule talks about what's next, right? Like we talk about that. I don't care what happened the last rep. Let's focus on what's this rep right now. And to me, it's really the whole season last year. You got to learn from all of those things, but it's like, what do we got to do today? What do we got to do right now? That's the most important thing.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Pretty good. What'd you think of that pitching performance yesterday? Is that dominant or what?
Yeah, good start for Cole Reagans.
Dealing.
Probably an even better start on the other side from the Twins, but the Royals won it on Bobby's speed in the 8th inning.
So, like, have you set the expectation level yet? Did you have one going in?
I think the expectation from the beginning was get back to the postseason. And if you do that, then as we've seen with the Royals, anything can happen. So they generally tend to take advantage of their postseason opportunities. They're not one of those frustrating franchises that, and I say this and hope it doesn't happen this year, that that gets in regularly and then doesn't take advantage of the moment. So, I I think they'll have a better understanding if they make it back this year of what it takes. I mean, they showed well last year against the Yankees and in beating Baltimore. So, I was in spring training and not that I could tell a whole lot from my seat in the stands for 2 games, but I didn't come away with anything different. It was just like, this would be great if they could make it back to the playoffs 2 years in a row, like 84, 85 and 14, 15. Seems like the 4 and the 5 are a time when it tends to happen in these decades.
I don't know if like what happens when they get Cobb back, but if Flaherty's healthy, obviously you have Skubal, even though he's off to a little bit. I mean, he still got the 16 strikeouts, I think, with Skubal. But if Flaherty's healthy, and who knows who Mize is. Remember when college, when we thought Casey Mize was, I wouldn't say can't miss, but we're like, wow. So Mize is finally off to a decent start. Is Detroit the team you worry about?
I mean, right now, but it's very early. I still think Cleveland. I mean, I still think that Cleveland's going to be good. That they are good, and the Royals have to go there this weekend. So watching them in the opening weekend in Kansas City, I thought, okay, that's a formidable team, and if the Royals are in it, I expect that the Guardians will be right there. But yeah, Detroit's good, and the rest of the division is. I don't know. I mean, Minnesota played Kansas City really tough last year, and these first 2 games of the series have been close. But I'd say that the teams that worry you the most are Detroit and Cleveland.
Mitch,
got to get Caglione up to Omaha. Saw he hit another bomb in Northwest Arkansas in AA last night. It just landed. Yep.
I can barely drive 468 feet. Can you? Do you think you can hit a ball 468 feet?
I can barely hit a golf ball 468 feet.
You can go like park down at Shadow Lake or something when he gets called up to Warner Park and see if the ball can roll down Highway 370, and then you got a Cags homer ball. I hope like Memorial Day. I hope for the Storm Chasers and for Marty that happens when school gets out and it's timed right for them. I know Kansas City gives zero cares about that, but they just want to do what's best for their organization and how and find the right timeline for him to help them maybe in 2025. But I hope for the people in Omaha that he's here at a period when it makes when everybody, there's like that window in the middle of the AAA season when you really can take advantage of fans coming out to see the games.
I just need the Royals to act like pitching is still on the table for Caglione, because he's not a very good pitcher, but he can hit it a ton.
Yeah, he's a one-way guy at this point. I know he brought his other glove to spring training and he was ready to go on the mound if they needed him, but I don't think that's going to happen with that bat.
Shane, could you hit a golf ball? You could hit a golf ball 156 yards, right? Isn't that 468 feet?
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah. What club I've got?
Well, stubby arms over here couldn't hit a golf ball 156 yards. Mitch, I've been kind of, this fits my wheelhouse, so I'm trying not to stoke the fire. I want to talk about Dvorak a little, but zero surprise that the conversation took on the cultural context that Coach Sat led it off with.
Yeah. First of all, it kind of dawned on me when he started up there that he hadn't said anything publicly since it all went down in November, and Holgerson came in and everybody wondered, well, where's Sat gonna go? And then bowl season came around, and there was a period of time where I think we operated just kind of under the assumption that he wouldn't be a part of the staff in 2025. And then Rule shot that down, and Dana continued to say how much he enjoyed working with Marcus. And some of that, like, there's a cynical way to look at this where you're just like, yeah, he's the highest paid coach on staff. Like, what is he going to do? Of course he's going to want to stay. And that's not, I don't subscribe to that, because a lot of coaches, I think, would have just been kind of difficult to work with, and just you can make it so you're not a great fit. And he could have done that in November during the last 3 games of the year and into bowl practices, and they would have let him go, and then they would have had to pay him, and he would have done less work and made the same amount of money, and it would have been normal practice in college football. But instead, he was like, no, I take him at face value what he said, like that he believes in Nebraska and he wants to help this place, and he's having a lot of fun coaching right now. So it's a rare way for this thing to turn out. I was maybe a little surprised because in the past, Satterfield hasn't like opened up probably in the way that he did. I don't know if he's had the opportunity to open up like that, but it was there on Tuesday. And yeah, he gave a real, I think, insightful, not just coach talk answer about why he stuck it out and why he played along, why he was a good sport, why he didn't just make himself a thorn in the side on the offensive staff, and then they would have bought him out at the end of the season.
Mitch, how much impact do you think that can have on the team? I know that, DB and I have talked a lot about how maybe that impacts the way fans perceive Satterfield moving forward, but to be a example of some of the things that he's preaching, how much impact do you think that can have? Because this isn't a situation a coach generally can show, living, like practicing what they preach in this sense that, you've got a Heinrich Harburg or an Emmett Johnson who maybe their playing time hasn't been what they've wanted it to be up to this point. He's a real example of kind of that same thing.
Yeah. I think it can help. I think in individual cases, if something comes up during the season where he's working with a player, and he probably will, because at tight end, it's such an interesting group to have the 4 guys at the top. And I'm looking at it as 4. Maybe somebody else will jump into that mix, and 2 of them are hurt right now. So they're wild cards, but they can't, they're not going to all play at the same time. Like somebody's going to be unhappy about something. And, he's well positioned, I think, to be able to have conversation. It doesn't have to be with the tight ends. Like he has relationships with other players on the offense, as you mentioned, like in talking about Emmett Johnson, Ravi, because he's been their coordinator for the better part of the last 2 years. So I think that they'll listen to him, and it's more than just talking to them. I think those guys can probably just see it, and they can see the way, he's not pulling the wool over people's eyes. Like he legitimately wants to be at Nebraska. And I'm if that's the case, and I think it is, then I'm sure the players can tell in the way that he goes about his daily business. So that can have an impact on them when they run into a spot that just isn't like all perfect. And as they drew it up.
Hey, Mitch, I want you to listen to this clip from Coach Dvorak and kind of walk me through the feel in the room about the connection of the coaching staff when you hear this answer. Shane, play clip 1 from Dvorak.
Just focusing on the team. And I think he spoke about that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I've been with Coach for a long time, so I kind of know what the standards are, the expectations are, and what he expects from us as a staff and the players. And I think, Coach has been persistent in all of those things over the years. And so just making sure the team is right, and obviously holding all of us accountable as coaches and players.
More or less important in this phase of Coach Dvorak's career, Mitch, or more applicable because of the new faces that are on the staff, in addition to some of those guys that have familiarity?
I think it's big for Rob in this part of his career, because now he's like he's comfortable in this spot where he's been given responsibility, and he's the longest tenured member of the defensive staff who is in a role that hasn't changed, or just the longest tenured member of the defensive staff, period. Everything around him has shifted in his 3 years. So everybody else is new, and like they're definitely going to look to him, the players, and I think the other coaches, like to provide some stability and perspective on, hey, we've tried this before against this opponent. How did this go, Rob? Or what was your viewpoint on that? And like I asked that question to him about Matt Rule and like what he'd seen in Rule this spring, because I was curious after listening to Rule on Saturday talk about how he was bored at practice. And like I know he said that kind of tongue in cheek, like he's never really bored. But maybe in that moment when he made the comment to Mike Eckler and he was just recounting it for us on Saturday, he actually felt that way because his his mindset at practice is so much different now than it was the last couple of years, because he has so many people in positions where he trusts them and trusts them more, like trust them because of their experience, trust them like because there's just more people out there, and everybody's plate is a little bit more manageable, at least at practice. Like, away from practice, there's a whole new world of college football that you're grappling with, and things can get unwieldy pretty quick. But like when he's at practice, I can understand why Rule might feel that way. And Dvorak, I think he was expressing it too, that this has given Rule an opportunity to like take more of a big picture focus on stuff. And Rob's a part of that. Like he's one of those pieces that Rule can trust, despite being young and just in his early 30s. Like I think when Rule talks about, he kind of went through a list on Saturday. He's like, well, I'm not going to go over and meddle in the offensive line because Donnie does this. I'm not going to go mess with special teams because X got, I'm not going to go with Dana. I think Dvorak fits right into that conversation too, and with the work he does with the linebackers.
He's so good. Excuse me. Rob, he's so good behind the mic now. You can tell his level of comfort in terms of what the information he wants us to know, how it fits with the message with what everybody else is saying. He's grown tremendously in that area as a guy that understands how the media works here.
Yeah, he's just smart. And I got that from the first time that I met him. I'm not talking about a press conference, just like met him away from the press conference setting. You definitely, some guys, like he has a high like social, emotional intelligence, and you don't always see that in assistant coaches. I mean, certainly plenty of them have it, and they need it to be able to recruit and to identify with recruits' families and players and all of that. So I'm not saying it's like a lost trait, but he naturally had that, and just like the ability to just converse and see people as people, instead of whatever role that they might serve. So yeah, he's like, to me, future coordinator material for sure. Like I think that's the path that he'll go in his career, and who knows, maybe a ways beyond that.
Mitch, as you had a chance to see a little bit of practice yesterday, like anything stand out? I know a lot of people are tweeting out pictures about body types and body transformations and things like that. I know what you actually get to see from a football standpoint is limited, but anything stick out to you?
Well, I went on the offensive side. So because of the torn up outdoor fields, they're splitting practice and for some of it. So the defense was in the Hawks and the offense was in the stadium. And I went over to the offensive side, like, because I said I was hoping that Rule was there with the offense, and he was. So I wanted to watch him and see what it looked like to be bored. But so the receivers were probably what stood out to me. I watched the O-line quite a bit the first time we were out at practice. And so I, saw Pritchett, super impressed with Pritchett's, like his physical presence. Like he's what you'd expect for somebody who started at Alabama as a tackle. So kind of been down that road already in my viewing time. So I watched the receivers on Tuesday and could see like a top group, and just like the way that the guys were carrying themselves, like the way they took their reps and lined up and stood together. And that appeared to be Janiran Bonner, Nizia Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, and Dane Key. And like, I like the way that those guys complement each other with their skill sets and their body types and what their speed, size, experience, all of that. It's two more experienced guys, and then two others who've played 1 year. So they all have experience. And I think that Isaiah Mosey, Cortez Mills, and Quinn Clark are going to be like constantly pushing to get in there. And maybe there's somebody in that young trio who's already in that group, like Barney was last year. And we saw that in the spring game. We won't get that sneak peek this year. So we'll have to wait until August to kind of find out if there's a freshman that's that's cracked the top group with the receivers. But that's what I watched the most. I mean, of course, the quarterbacks, they were throwing to the receivers, but probably stood out to me. Those guys stood out to me quite a bit in the time I spent with the offense.
So, Mitch, let me ask you, if you're kind of watching this thing unfold and you're around the offense, how difficult do you think it is, or would you imagine it to be, to do the things that you needed to do to contribute in this offense at a high level from a trust standpoint?
As a player?
Yeah, I want to start with the wide receiver group, because sometimes we kind of put stuff on young guys, but you just rattled off that group, and outside of Barney, it's highly experienced guys. So are you drawing any parallels to kind of what it takes to get acclimated in this offense versus what we're actually kind of anticipating?
Yeah, I think they're going to lean on guys so that they know they can trust, because they've actually gone out there and done it. And I mean, I think Hunter and his experience is pretty comparable to Barney, and Barney's is his 1 year is at Nebraska, so he's probably higher on the trust level than Hunter at this point, just because he's been in the system and in the program and has a connection, a chemistry already that's deeper with Dylan Raiola than what Isaiah Hunter as a new guy would have. But they're going to close that gap, and by the time that they get out and play a couple games, I think they're going to that group of 4 is probably all going to be pretty equal. Yeah, I don't know if it means like that they're going to be less likely to want to bring along young players, but I do, as you go over to the defensive side. I know you asked the question about offense, but I think it applies to defense too. I do think maybe more than in the first couple years with Rule, that you're going to see them bring along freshmen. There'll be exceptions to this, but you're going to see them bring not just freshmen, but inexperienced players. You're going to see them bring those guys along. They're going to have the luxury to bring them along a little more slowly, or just like appropriately, like in the way that a program that expects to win 9 or 10 games would do it. Not that I expect Nebraska to win 9 or 10 games. I don't know. Maybe by August, I'm not making that call right now. But like, they're going to act like a big boy program in the way that they bring young players along, and a lot of that's because of trust, and it's a luxury that you can afford to have. Like on the D line, you see the guys who are there in the front, and it's Van Poppel and Judy and Lenhart, and they've all been in the program for 2 years or more. And the maybe more physically imposing, impressive, high ceiling guys, Williams Winery and Keona Davis, like they're going to bring them along. Like they're going to work with them. They're going to fully invest in those players. Same thing with Mosey and Mills on the offensive side. I think same thing when they get healthy with Christian Jones and Dawson Merritt at linebacker. But like there's an ability now to take a little bit more time, and it should be something. I'm sure it's something that they expect will pay off in the long run.
So, Mitch, let me get you out on this. With you and I have talked about, I'm going all the way back to these hearings and what people thought, and I said, well, how can you pull this off without collective bargaining? And I think you were on board early with, it seems like an important piece that is not talked about it's being talked about out of order. Were you encouraged, discouraged with what Claudia, kind of the findings? What were some sticking points to her? I think it starts with collective bargaining and probably that being a good idea. But how about the staggered getting down to 105 too? Which one of those, if either, or interests you the most in terms of how you think this may go?
Yeah, all of the issues that she brought up, that the judge brought up on Monday, I think are like deserving of full conversations. But the 105, the roster limits, probably piqued my interest the most, because it's just something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about and talking to people about around Nebraska.
I go back to what you said to me in October. You said in the press, you said, how can you wait a certain amount of time and then, okay, just make it happen? That you said it doesn't feel like that would be right.
And it's still that now that they've done that, it doesn't feel right, because Nebraska recruited its 2025 class with the understanding and under the operating procedure that it was doing it with the 105 in mind. It had all these conversations, Rule, and I think mainly just Rule, but Rule had all these conversations with players who had eligibility left after the regular season, even before the bowl game, about where you fit on the 105. I think players made decisions to transfer because they didn't expect that they were going to that they thought they'd have a better opportunity somewhere else as a result of the 105, not because they were not wanted at Nebraska, but just because of the realities in college football. And they've been recruiting in 2026 and making scholarship offer decisions, knowing that they would have to be at 105 in August. And here we are on April 7th, and you're like, oh, well, they're going to grandfather players in, and you're not going to have to be at 105, and maybe you could be at 120 or something like that in this year. Like, what? That's yes. The timing of it is out of whack, but that's just where we are in college sports. And it's not going to be a perfect system. It's definitely not a perfect system. It's messed up a lot of plans because the timing has gone the way it did. I'm sure there were a lot of coaches, not at every school. I'm sure there were a lot of coaches who kind of threw up their hands on Monday when they heard about this and said, this would have been nice to know 6 months ago or 8 months ago.
Mitch, is there anything that because I saw you tweeting along and kind of following this pretty closely. Is there anything that you saw as the proceedings were kind of going along that raised your ears a little bit and made you think, that could hold this thing up?
No, I think that everybody's got too much invested now for the NCAA is going to take this week and come back. If it's next month, I don't know if they set a date for the next hearing next Monday, whatever. She said take a week, and they're going to come back and they're going to reword things in the way that the judge wants. Like, they know that she's the one who ultimately has to approve it. So you'll probably see some kind of a system that allows teams to get down to 105 over a period of years. I mean, some of it I think is just reworded language. I know she made a big point about the 10-year-old playing
Fathered in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm not enough of a legal expert to know like what needs to change to make that to appease the judge in that area. But the lawyers are, and I'm sure they'll do whatever is necessary. I don't think there's big sticking points. She was pretty optimistic and pretty positive in like her overall assessment of where they're at.
That's our guy, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, appreciate it as always. You guys going to get some baseball outside this week?
Yeah, we've already done that. We played last night. So two more this weekend. Yeah, we got 5 games under our belt, man.
So is it Masters weekend? Like, what are we doing, Mitch? You couldn't prolong that thing?
Yeah, it's. I'll catch some golf when I get the chance. But
that's what the added library is for, right? Just record.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I don't like to record live sports and go back and watch it. I'll just catch up. Maybe I'll if I'm really interested, which isn't always the case. But if I'm really interested, I'll get my phone out or something. We're not playing all weekend. We got 1 game Sunday, 1 game Saturday.
How do you keep up if you don't? Record
I probably don't. Maybe I don't keep up. Maybe I just fake it.
You're too much, man.
Mitch, all right. We appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mitch.
I think he's being a little facetious with us there.
I don't know now.
I think you might be a little,
I don't know.
Might be giving us a little hard time there.
He's funny.
I wonder how, you haven't coached baseball, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. How often does a team like that practice these days?
It's hard to get field space, so it depends on the organization, but I'd say twice you'd like to.
Like
but
twice a week?
Yeah, but when it gets heated,
because you're playing games almost
when you
every
get
day
when you get in
the
the thick of the
summer.
schedule, 2 practices is
a lot.
Is a lot.
Yeah, because I was trying when I played back in the day, we would do about
Back in the day,
we would do about 2 a week, and so I didn't know if that had changed.
It's about right.
A lot of games though.
Back in the day.
In the summer, it ends up being a lot of like BP.
Plus, they've probably been indoors since winter.
I'll say since November.
Yeah, baseball is now year round.
Yeah, it's hard to play year round baseball in Omaha.
Now year round.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Justin just says abolish the NCAA.
We're gonna need some sort of rules committee.
That's one way to go about it. I don't know how practical that is. Now, if they don't have collective bargaining, then the NCAA doesn't have a lot to do.
Oh.
But if they do, then obviously they have
it's back in play.
A little bit of teeth at that point.
A governing body is back in play.
NCAA or whatever. Yeah. I also think, and I know, listen, I'm no NCAA apologist here. There are a lot of things that they do in the non-revenue leagues or not leagues, non-revenue divisions and sports that would be sorely missed if we just abolished it full swing. Now, if
Yeah.
you want to take the revenue sports out of their control, I'll have a conversation about that. But
It's funny with Daniel. He said it cracks me up how long it takes the NCAA and courts to come around to what the fans have been saying way ahead of it, which is
like, hey, maybe we should taper this thing and not cut rosters by 30% in a year.
Or just, I think we can clearly see you have the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
With these court hearings.
Yeah.
Like, just juvenile, man. Back that thing up. And slow down.
You a big juvenile guy?
No. It just fit.
Seems right up your alley.
Yeah. Not
That's
so much.
I'll say we got a lot of people parking on our spots today.
What's going on?
I don't know how I feel about this. Might have to have some. We might need to put signs up in our spots. Like,
Yeah,
that's DB. That's Shane.
At least until we open at
This
11.
is Ravi. Yeah. No
Right.
parking until 11 a.m.
On the dance floor.
Let's see what we can do about that.
Working on it.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. The Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to three.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Who are some of those people you point to in terms of mentors, or maybe some that you've had conversations with and wanting to step away from this role?
Gosh, it's hard to name names because you know you're going to forget people. My entire staff has been awesome. I've talked to them. My husband. Gosh, there's been different people. I mean, through my time here, Jim Flannery and I office next to each other, and we definitely have hashed a lot of things out over the years. Bruce Rasmussen, I still talk to a lot these days. Terry Pettit. So many, gosh, there's so many people and you tap into different people for different needs. But I'm so grateful for all the people that are willing to take my call and give advice and lend support. Brandon Rosenthal at Lipscomb was someone that I really leaned into, and people probably don't even know that we're good friends, and just talking through am I being crazy, and him processing all this with me.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Reminding you, make sure you get out to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill and try out everything they've got to offer. And this week, we've got a giveaway for the Masters as well. That includes a prize pack, get some golf balls, get a desk caddy, a poster, hat, visor, but most importantly, some tickets to the Pinnacle Bank Championship are on the line. Sign up for the loyalty program when you come in to dine at the La Vista location for a chance to win.
What they need to do is try the DB burger.
They should also do that.
I think it's spectacular.
You got that breakfast, was the breakfast sausage patty, right?
Mm-hmm.
On there?
Oh, yeah.
What else you got on
Medium well. Bacon, cheddar cheese, spicy mayo. I was going to go with mustard.
I don't think there's any mustard on there.
Spicy mayo.
So, yeah.
When big fat bacon pieces.
Yeah, you got 3 different meats on there.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Let's get to our guy, TK, wants to talk a little NCAA settlement. What's going on, TK?
Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
Coach, what's up?
Oh, not much.
How was the game? How was the game last night?
It was good. You know, I left just in time for Nebraska to step on the gas.
Yeah, might have been your presence that was hindering them.
Yeah. Honestly, they were lucky that there was such a strong wind because that game could have been over in the third. Like KU hit 5 or 6 balls, moonshots in a row across two innings. That if it wasn't for them getting caught in the wind, they'd be gone. That team's gonna be dangerous. I think one of the projections I saw is they're gonna go to the Bantam box for the regional in Okie State, and they have a good shot at beating Okie State there. If that team can hit,
yeah,
I think their worst hitter was .322.
So I think the thing about them too is, they have some good depth too. I don't know. I think that if they can hold in the top 25, Nebraska's got them again in 2 weeks. I don't know. I kind of hope they keep winning because Nebraska's going to need them in the RPI because they've got KU twice and Creighton. So what do you got for me on the hearings besides the fact it's backwards?
So just thinking through it, it's funny. I keep taking classes during the exact same time about certain subjects that I actually care about. So I have no care in the world for labor law, but I happen to be taking it when this is going down. And one of the big things, I was telling Ravi this yesterday, that's a problem for the collective bargaining is under the National Labor Relations Act, public employees have no ability to bargain. They can't unionize. And that doesn't even matter if the company or whoever they work for, the government consents to it. There would have
so
to
that's my question. So
yeah, so either we need a rogue judge to make a big decision to say that because of the amount of money, which is super unlikely, or the TV networks need to lobby Congress a lot better than they are to get
that's where I think it has to. That's what I think it has to start.
An amendment for them to be able to collectively bargain.
You need the House to step in.
So, TK, would it be possible for them to basically create other organizations? Because the part of this whole thing is the universities have never wanted to call them employees anyway, right?
Nope.
Like it
opens up a whole.
That's been a big sticking point. Is there a way that you could almost have them be either employees of like the collectives or an independent third organization, whether that's individual by school or even of the governing body itself, that they could get around that and collectively bargain at that point?
I doubt it. So like the places that have already tried to unionize is Northwestern and then
Dartmouth, I think.
Brown, Dartmouth, yeah, and they've gotten elections called for a union, like go ahead and try, and then it gets overturned. And there's a whole lot of stuff going with the National Labor Relations Board, other than this stuff.
So public versus private apparently isn't the sticking point then.
Well, the private schools have the best chance because they're not exempted. There's a hard exemption for public employees, and they would have to completely privatize. Like they would have to do something similar to what Ravi said, where athletics are basically no longer a part of the school. It would probably have to be club teams, and the schools won't want to do that because the majority of them are going to fail if they don't have the TV revenue.
I mean, because we're talking about private schools that got shut down.
Yeah. So
I mean, right?
And those are for more other reasons than them being able to bargain. Like the Dartmouth basketball team, there's only 13 of them, and there was a whole bunch of drama that went on there, and then they pulled out because there was a brand new team. So that brand new team no longer wanted to be unionized, and so they just pulled their petition.
What else you got
So
for me, bud?
it's really messy.
Anything good?
You should get a truck.
I'm trying.
I wear suits all the time.
I'm trying.
And I still drive that dinged up truck that Ravi saw. You're gonna be okay.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate the encouragement. Best wishes on all your 100 parlays
We'll
today,
see you
buddy.
guys.
All right, buddy.
See you, TK. So I do wonder then there's got to be some workaround because otherwise teachers unions wouldn't exist.
Right, I know. I don't know what it is.
So we're missing part of the equation there because teachers unions, they're public employees.
And
then
a judge wouldn't suggest that collective bargaining first be a good idea
if there weren't a way.
If there wasn't a workaround.
Yeah. So there has to be some.
I'm trying to think about the public. Yeah, because they do have a union. It is
one of the strongest unions is the teachers union. Like it's an incredibly.
100%.
It's an incredibly impactful union for teachers. And then there's also, I only know this in passing because of some of the layoffs that were done in the last few months of federal employees, is some of those were stalled because they belonged to a union and the union had rights over the employees. So there has to be some loophole that we're missing there. But I agree with you. Like the judge wouldn't suggest collective bargaining if they couldn't do it.
So is there, what it might be?
What's that?
Would people that are actually providing the service, since it's only for a certain amount of time and you don't want to be an employee, can you be a contractor?
I would think so. That's kind of what I was thinking. If they were employed by the collective, is you could be a contractor of the collective, and then the collectives could collectively bargain together to provide like that structure outside of the university system. If there is a holdup with the universities, I think there's ways to do it. I don't think the NCAA would want to technically hire every athlete as a contractor because that's a mess. But if you did it on the school level by collective of the people that want to be part of the revenue sharing, that would make the most sense to me because their athletic departments sort of operate at a lot of these high major places on their own anyway. And so they're sort of their own ecosystem. I don't think it'd be that hard to either privatize a section of it like a collective or privatize the athletic department.
If you get the states to waive the right
to
collectively bargain.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Like
because
there's going to be...
You talked about teachers.
Mm-hmm.
There's clearly fire departments. There's
police unions.
Police, yeah. So, I mean...
There has to be a workaround somewhere. I just don't know what that would be.
So much for... Excuse me. I am glad that the judge, she thought of that to take back to the table because now both sides can get busy.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think they want to get the deal done.
I mean, they have to.
I still don't see how you pull this off without Congress.
Yeah, so then it might be like a retroactive, or not a retroactive, but like they have to go back and get it with legislation of some kind. Although I don't think, I'm trying to think with like the professional leagues, with their collective bargaining, the only, I think, legal act that was required was the antitrust exemption.
Mm.
After that, I think all of the other things can be determined by courts
after
the fact, once the collective bargaining agreement's in place, as long as they say, hey, this is legal within the bounds of your antitrust exemption.
So we're going to table NIL.
Apparently. I mean, it's not, they're going to find a way. Now, it might go back to what NIL was supposed to be.
I think the biggest takeaway was getting down to 105.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like that's going to be enforced anytime soon.
No, I think you've got probably a couple years, which is better for the student athletes. I think.
I just don't think the revenue share isn't going to hit yet either.
You don't think so? Put it off for another year?
It's out of order.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
You don't even know how many you have to share. It's just out of order.
I know.
And the number was set based on, I think, some numbers.
Yeah.
And now the numbers may change?
Yeah. You got a lot of people promising checks. It's going to be awkward. One way or the other. It's going to be uncomfortable because people have been promised money.
100%.
And there's not a lot of contracts going around either. Let's take a quick break here. We'll get to maybe some picks, see if we got any bets today, a little baseball.
We're talking we have day baseball today too. That's always good.
We love some day baseball.
I won't be around.
We'll get to our Masters picks tomorrow. We'll preview it with John Rathouse, former PGA caddy.
Let's go. And funny guy. Fan of the show.
Type 1 diabetic. And we'll get our picks in there, but see if we can win any money on baseball today. That's DBM Ravi Lulla, Hurrdat Sports Live.
Howard here with Kenny Bell. We got our second open practice today. Yep. You watched what Coach Rule over the weekend said was one of their bright spots this spring. O-line, what did you see? What did you hear?
Yeah, I spent my morning with the Hogs. It's a tough time of year, right? To get excited about football and go out there and be physical in the beginning of April with your teammates wearing the same jerseys, it's not an easy thing to do. So to see the physicality and hear the pads popping down there on that end of the field was certainly a bright spot. It's early in the year, but to see those guys getting after it during this time of spring, obviously it's hard to do, right? Football is a fun game to play, brutal game to practice. So to see those guys bringing it this morning was awesome, and to see the tight ends get down there and start working in with them was also great to see as well.
Talk timetable as well.
Yeah.
Can you explain the timeline of events of how long this has been in the works?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a few months ago she had brought up that people are reaching out. Just that she was like, I don't think it's going to happen, but just that people are reaching out. And it's okay, like, great, just let me know. This is where I want to be. And then a few weeks ago, while going through a job process, she kind of said, like, hey, things are getting a little bit more serious. And so I turned down a position with the possibility of this coming to fruition. And but at that time it was, working through some things. And I would say over the last week or so, like those things have all come to be. And maybe 4 days ago it became official. So it's come pretty fast from there. And it's been a whirlwind. Not a lot of sleep, trying to process all of this. And again, bittersweet of so sad, but I'm really happy for her.
We preach every day there's going to be adversity. And if what happened to me is no different than a player getting benched or, having to go from first team to second team. It's no difference. And I believe in this place. I believe in Nebraska. I believe in everything. When I came here, I still believe it. We got great things ahead of us, and I think we can do it, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to finish what we started. And I thought it'd be a great example for our guys just to see when you go through some hard stuff, like practice what you preach and just keep coming to work and keep giving it your best every single day.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I'd say it's similar in the sense of like we're always trying to put in different things, right? Whether it's 2 linebackers on the field, we played Iowa, we had 3 linebackers on the field at one point in time. Sometimes we had 1 linebacker on the field last year. So we've kind of been multiple, and we're involving more guys and doing a little more packages here and there. So really the springtime right now has been trying to play as many guys as I can. And I want to see him play. I want to see him compete. I want to see him play with effort, execute, finish, all the things that we've been talking about. So, I think we have a lot of different things and have the ability to do a lot of things. And so just putting them in different spots and moving them around and personnel groups, it's been really beneficial.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Live. We know the Masters is starting tomorrow, but there's another championship around the corner. That's the Championship Omaha, presented by Sunburst Communications on June 12th at Quarry Oaks Golf Club in Ashland. It's not just a golf tournament. It's Omaha's premier corporate golf showdown. 2-player teams, no handicaps, and the chance to crown the top corporate team in the city. Premium hospitality, elite networking, and an unforgettable experience. Don't miss out. Call 402-333-7620 for more details. DB?
Yes.
You ready for some day baseball?
I mean, kind of. I'm going through this deal with my man Tanner.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about the potential for taxing scholarships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your microphone deal is on the floor.
Yep, there it is. We found it.
And you used your foot. See, don't ever confuse our headsets. Like,
I'm not putting it back on there. Put it over there.
That's just wild.
What else was I supposed to do?
Why would you do that?
So if it's already on the ground, what's the difference than using my foot to pick it up?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What's the difference between the bottom of my foot and the top of the ground?
Anyway, hey, Sasha, can you get a few more of these just in case Ravi tries to pull the old switcheroo with me? He's talking about tax, scholarships and stuff. And even if it's not the scholarships yet, like Caleb has to file this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's 19.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, yeah, if you've got basically any NIL
there's all sorts of ramifications that, and he's right, it could potentially put young people in bad spots, but I think that's where, schools have to help with that too. That's why I like Nebraska being so diligent with their collectives and, their classes that they take for preparation for stuff like this. I mean, they have one of the few head coaches in the country that's constantly talking about IRAs and what to do with portions of money, right? Where a guy like when he would do stuff like this before when he was in that role with Sean Patton or, I used to call him the Greenspan of college football, even though Greenspan's really like 91 years old, but
getting up there.
But I always joked. I said Patton should have been an economist.
Yeah.
So I mean I get it. It's complicated, but you can't they rushed.
Yeah.
They rushed, and it's backwards, and now you have to go back and get it.
So they drug their feet, and now they feel like they have to rush. Like they drug their feet on all of this for so long. The NCAA could have been proactive about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like as soon as the Ed O'Bannon case got filed, they could have started to be proactive about this, because that's where this all started. That's where the domino got flicked and everything started happening, right? But they didn't. They put their head in the sand. They drug their feet, whatever metaphor that you want. And now, because people are suing them and they're going to have to pay, now they're rushed to get settlements done so it doesn't unravel their entire organization. So you're right. Like they had the opportunity to get this right for a long time, and then they waited until their hand was forced, and now they're rushed to get it in under the wire. And it's not going to be right at first because of that. Like it's never going to be right.
And even if it says yes, like what if they get collective bargaining signed off on?
Mm-hmm.
I think TK called it a rogue judge. I still don't think that's going to fly in the Supreme Court.
No, it wouldn't. That's why you're going to have to get, whether it's the public versus private issue or whatever, you're going to have.
I don't think that's it.
I don't either. I think there's because we named too many other places that are public.
But I would have to get involved with the actual exemptions.
Yeah,
like
what they are.
and waiving of the state's waiving of the rights.
Teachers and police and fire and whoever else, right?
Because now Amazing Daniel's got me shook, so now I'm trying to get my.
What Amazing Daniel say?
He's like I think he's talking about TK. He goes, I think he's confused. The NLRA appears to be specifically about private employees. According to the NLRB site, the law does not cover government employees, agricultural laborers, independent contractors, and supervisors, and in parentheses he put with limited exceptions. And then he was saying, I think he has that 180 degrees backwards, like working the other way.
Mm.
Yeah, and I believe, and it's real time, so it's hard because you have to like compartmentalize everything else we're talking about. I believe this is in direct response to TK's call. But TK comes back with is the best way that I can sum it up is many states have waived their rights to allow for collective bargaining for some public employees. The federal government has done this, but it's super rare. There's not one entity that can waive the rights for all the athletes. And many states are anti-rev share with the players' rights stuff. So he's basically saying that ain't going to happen. He said those states won't be in on any agreement to allow for collective bargaining. Thus, there must be federal action to amend the National Labor Relations Act, which is the NLRA.
So he's saying the federal government can't waive it for everybody. The states can waive it individually.
Yes.
So that would make sense for teachers and police and fire.
That's what
we were missing earlier.
That's what TK's saying.
So federally, you cannot make a sweeping action to say, hey, this is legal for everybody. You'd have to get basically all 50 states or however many.
Correct.
49 states that have Division I programs or rev share programs to do it individually, which would, again, be a nightmare.
Yeah. So you're not just another ugly face. You do get it.
Sometimes. I try and pay attention.
Well done.
That's why I grow the beard, to cover up as much of the face as I can.
So do you know what I did quickly, since I can't read and talk at the same time?
What's that?
I skimmed it.
Oh, yeah.
I memorized as much as I could before I read it to you so I wouldn't come across as Ron Burgundy.
Oh, that was good.
Well, if I don't, you can't understand. You wouldn't get it as fast.
Right. Yeah. You summarized it well. I appreciate that.
No, it's blessed with a good memory.
That's can't read, but can remember.
Exactly. Oh, why that doesn't make sense.
It does. It's just funny. No, I do think there's going to have to be some creativity here, and I do think
I'm not really optimistic.
I'm not either for the collective bargaining portion. Like the settlement's going to get done, but that's just
but they're going to piecemeal it in the short term, only to have it be shot down or having to be amended.
Yeah, which is again why I blame this on the NCAA for burying their head in the sand for so long. I think
you just wanted to blame the NCAA.
I just defended them a minute ago when Justin was trying to disband them.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I do think there might be, because somebody brought up the doctor's model where they work for a group that sort of functions within the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
That's a model I can see. And I know TK shot that down. We didn't have time to get into specifics of why he didn't think that would work. But I do think that's a model that could be replicated in college sports, of having them being hired by a private entity and then work that way through the collective bargaining and then bargaining directly with the private entities.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
Because that's basically, I mean, that's what the NFL does is, I mean, all the teams are their own private entities and they collectively bargain with the league. That's what you'd be doing.
Hey, because we're agreeing to have limits, you can't touch us because we are limited.
Yeah. But they're also conceding negotiating power.
Yeah,
like that's the
I know.
that's
It's
the
just that-
sacrifice, right? Right?
Yeah. You are. You're taking the protection of having everything on the table to not be able to change it, but you also can't change it for the outside entity's benefit either. That's why you better get it right the first time.
Oh, they're definitely not going to get it right the first time.
Well, how long did we see the NFL screw up what they decided to do as the union?
Yeah.
And then it ended up shooting like it was collected. The franchise tag was collectively bargained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now nobody thinks it's a good idea that's a player.
Yeah, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it.
Yeah, but they agreed to it.
But you know what's also collectively bargained for a long time was drug testing, and none of the players wanted that.
Yeah, the NBA was the first to be like, hey, you know what? I think we need to revisit this.
There's some things that we're going to not test for anymore.
Yeah, we smoke a lot of weed, guys.
Not you and me, the royal we.
Yeah. I think the free world knows I don't smoke.
I don't know. Sometimes you're out there, you're.
Well, I'm crazy, but it isn't chemically induced.
Comes by it naturally.
100%. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, no, there's a long way to go on this thing. We're not. I mean, we might get a settlement done, but we're not even approaching the finish line.
Even close.
Not even in the neighborhood.
Bud.
We're not even in the galaxy, even if it does smell like Uranus.
That's where you're from.
Can I pet that dog?
No, I'm from Omaha.
I mean, we're out here, right?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Correct.
That's where we're out here.
I give you 2 winners today.
2 winners. What do we got?
We're out. One's a long shot, so take advantage of your plus money.
What do we got?
I like the Rangers.
Ooh.
Cubs are hot. They're swinging a hot stick. They running the bases, getting good pitching.
Mm-hmm.
They seem pretty complete.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I'll take the Rangers.
Got the Rangers
at 120 at Wrigley.
I got plus 135 on it.
Yeah. You take it and run. Go on and take the money and run.
I like plus money.
Woo, woo.
Steve Miller Band.
What's number 2?
Thank you, because I had no idea. I like your Red Sox.
I hope so. They need to bounce back.
Yeah, they'll get Gosman today. Is it tonight or today?
5:45.
Yeah.
Need to bounce back a little bit.
Take the Red Sox.
Need a little bounce back day. Minus 130 on the Red Sox, plus 135 on the Rangers. Those are your winners.
Lock it up.
From DB for today. And, you can also be a winner when choosing where to bank. Find new financial institution that takes the time to understand what your goals, needs, and what your journey looks like. It's not a one-size-fits-all over at Centris Federal Credit Union. Make sure you go check out everything they've got to offer. CentrisFCU.org, federally insured by the NCAA, and an equal housing lender. We will be back tomorrow. We've got a great show. We've got Masters coming up.
It's the Masters. We're going to talk Masters. We're going to get your pool picks right.
Got to get the pool picks. How many are we picking?
4.
4?
You get 3.
And then a long shot?
And then a long shot. And the long shot has to be we're anywhere between plus 3,900 or greater.
Okay, so like 40 to 1?
Yeah.
Okay. I like knowing my parameters.
Is that good?
I can do my homework.
Got to be greater than 40 to 1.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
That's a long shot.
Okay.
Just like me.
You ready, Shane? You going to have your picks? 3 plus greater than 40 to 1.
He's got his golf hat on. You got to be ready.
The last time we did this as a group, and it's aggregate strokes.
Okay. So total score.
Yes.
I love an aggregate. Big English Premier League guy. Lots of aggregates over there.
I don't even know what the FCS is.
Well, those are the little things that go on the end of your shoelaces.
FCS. Aggregate?
Those are egglets. Agglets.
That's not even close.
Yeah,
aggregates.
But that's what they're called.
I don't even know what the FCS is.
I'm gonna let you take some time before your rehearsal today. Seems like you might need to reboot a little bit.
Depends on how big the font is.
We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.